Hello and welcome back to True Crime Metrix. Good to see you all. We are continuing our Charlie Adelson live on the stand footage, commentary. Oh, I hate it when that happens. When my other tab starts playing, it really throws me off. Anyway, yeah, we got about 2/3 of the way through his direct yesterday, so we're going to finish that off today, hopefully, and then we're going to be on to George's cross-examination, which is probably one of the best segments of all three trials. In fact, I think we should do a top 10 list, right? Obviously, we're going to have Charlie's cross-examination on that list. That's going to be, well, let's see what it is. What else? What are the other great moments? If we take all three trials and look at the great moments of sections of the case, I think another one would be Christopher DeCoste's cross of Wendy Adelson from KD2 in 2022. That was also very good. What else? What other great moments have there been? Jeff Lacasse, of course. What was Jeff Lacasse's greatest moment? I'd say it was his direct examination from the second trial, which was very similar to his direct examination from the first trial, but perhaps even better. Yeah, we should vote on that. Wait until you see our website, guys. It's going to be fantastic. We're going to be able to do so much more with the collaborations, with these ideas. It's going to be so much fun. You know, that, for example, we could just have segments up for people to vote. How can you do that on YouTube or Patreon or Buy Me a Coffee or whatever? You can't, because you're limited by their platform. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't become a member of all three: YouTube memberships, Patreon memberships, and coffee memberships. Fantastic stuff. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, join the Discord, link in the description. We are going to play Charlie's video right now. Hey, just before we get started, what did everyone think of Donna's hearing today? I will do a breakdown of that, because you know what's annoying about it for the live when we're streaming from WCTV is that they end their live stream right at the end. There's no, space. So if we pause for commentary during the stream when we're taking the video from WCTV, we run the risk of running out of video. So it's kind of, I'm like really under pressure. You know what I mean? I have to pause and then talk really quickly, make a point, and then move on. And I just think it's going to be much, much better if we take important segments of the hearing from today, look at them in detail, refer to several facts that I've discovered about that witness. Mr. Murphy was looking into his company, The True Scope, today. Very interesting stuff. Who is Mr. Murphy? He's a charlatan, pretending to be an expert witness. I knew he'd only been on the stand a handful of times. You know, someone like Sergeant Chris Corbett has been on the stand, I think, several hundred times, right? He knows the process. He can walk the process. He can talk the process. It's not an issue. That guy was finding his feet, doing all of these kind of very, very clumsy excuse answers, like, what was it? What was the thing he kept saying? And he kept using the word fluctuating. If you're ever in a business meeting with somebody and they keep using words like fluctuating, leave the meeting. It's not worth your time. Okay? That's the golden rule. That's the golden rule. When those sorts of terms get bounded around in business or, well, any professional conversation, that's the mark of someone trying to sound like they know what they're talking about, right? When they don't. You can always tell. We'll do a breakdown of that tomorrow. But for now, we're just going to get on with it, guys. Get on with the show.
You're entering the courtroom.
Oh. Just while the jury are coming in, let's say hello to everybody. And where's our comments? We need our badge. Fantastic badge. Get that badge up. There we go. And comments. I need to get the link. Where's the link? Welcome. Fuck off. Yeah. Comments, chat comments. And we are good to go. Back pain forever, good to see you. Mr. Pinto Peabody. There you go, down there. Good to see you, Pinto. Welcome back. Hey, Pinto, by the way, I have made the decision. David is going up against Goliath. I am going to round the troops and gather together a class action lawsuit against Teespring. Yeah, we were conducting some research today, and my suspicions were entirely accurate. There are thousands of customers that are just as fucked in the ass as I am. Okay? So I think it's that, but there's no one leading the charge on this, right? I think it's up to True Crime Metrix. I think we're going to start contacting people, collecting names, collecting email addresses, business names, descriptions of the experience, the links to their Teespring store, merchandise stores. Start building a database, getting it all together for the class action lawsuit. I am going to have some fun with that. I want to be the primary plaintiff and help the others that are just as fucked as we are. Pinto, I know that you're waiting for your fuck me on the steak pillow. Please do send me an email with the order confirmation, and I will pass it on to those fuckers in San Francisco or wherever they are. Okay. Welcome everybody else in chat. Okay, we got to get going to here, guys.
Everyone can be seated. Members of the jury, we're going to test the speaker first to determine whether you can clearly hear the audio coming out of the speaker. If you can clearly hear the audio, please give a thumbs up. If not, you'll have the option of putting back on your headsets. I believe where is their audio ability to change their volume levels? Okay. Does everyone understand how to operate the volume switch? Please test away, Mr. Rauschbaum.
Test it first.
So, you know, if on night after work or some other fun in the very near future, I'm going to be with you.
Okay.
Okay.
Just tell her to write a letter to you or something?
Okay.
Okay, everyone's good? All right, so we're not going to do the screen because that's just causing for more problems. All right.
Continue at your own peril, but you may continue.
Your Honor. So,
Is Judge Everett high or what? Why does he love Daniel Rashbaum so much? He's just... It's very strange, that their kind of relationship. You can see Daniel Rashbaum turning on the charm. Even Sarah Dugan's like, oh, Rashbaum, what are you doing? You're having more technical problems, Rashbaum? You're such a munchkin.
Charlie, I'm going to play for you call A. This is a call on April 19th, 2016, 2:09 p.m. It's the first call with your mom after the bump. Okay?
So, you know, we have time tonight after work or some other time in the very near future and need to speak with you.
Okay.
Okay?
Did someone write a letter to you or something?
I've got some paperwork. Hand delivery.
You're being sued?
No, that's what I thought it was. I'm going to need to talk to you.
Okay.
Okay? So, I didn't have to figure out something. Can tell us wherever you are.
Well, I'm in Mitch Klein's office on Oakland Park Boulevard.
Okay.
So I'm right now in the Skyline Chili, and I'll be at his office in the afternoon.
The boys finished their piano lesson around 4-ish, and the traffic at the end, they take a ride with them upstairs.
Did Dad know about this?
The dad's at work today, fortunately.
What's Medicare? Is it IRS?
You know, the IRS people, they're kind of foggy sometimes, but fortunately not me.
Okay.
So I will talk to you. I'll give you a heads up if I'm going to drive up that way.
All right.
Okay? And
Just want you to know that? Is it involved one
no,
year?
no. So let me just talk to you later, and
What is it? Is it a health okay?
yeah.
All right. Does it involve me or other people?
Well,
Does it involve me or other people? And if it involves other people, how many? Is it like, does it involve thousands of people or is it just a couple? Are they in Florida? Are they east of the Mississippi? Let's start with that. Can they spell Mississippi? Do they know that it has 4 I's, 4 S's, 2 P's, but only 1 M? Okay. Are they north or south? It's like, what? Where could he go with these questions? He really treats it like a game.
What's that?
probably the two of them. So we probably have a general idea what I'm talking about.
All right.
So let's just find some time to talk to each other and take the place for a while, okay?
You're going to take the boys up there? Or did you talk to me today?
Oh look, Scooby Snack is in Portugal. What are you doing in Portugal? You're not Portuguese, are you? You know we don't have any Portuguese viewers. How great would that be if we did?
Or tomorrow.
All right. Well, I'll be up at Mitch Klein's office. You want to come up? Oh yeah, so really like.
I'm just concerned that I can get up there and get back in time for when you get them. Sometimes you get out a little earlier.
Can I ask you a question? Who's the paperwork transfer?
Do you remember the game that we played with when Judge Wheeler had the headphones on for ages and he was just sat back in his big comfortable chair and we were all like, okay, what song is he listening to? Because he looked like he was listening to a song, right? And people were saying 3 Times a Lady by Lionel Richie. We had some really good suggestions. What do you think Charlie's listening to here? Megadeth?
I see them, that's great. something that came with me I was doing the whole time today.
And he was it rank? Was it anonymous or?
Oh no, not anonymous. Not anonymous.
What was that? Wranglers Anonymous.
Right, whatever it is, it is.
No.
I was silly, but if you
I
want,
wouldn't bother you. Trust me.
yeah.
So he says, well, all right, well, whatever it is, it is. Then 5 minutes later, he calls back, like, so is it the IRS?
You want me to come down to see you tomorrow? I actually have the day off.
Yes, that would be wonderful. Dad actually starts later tomorrow. You know, he goes in at 1 o'clock. We both work out at the gym from 9:30 to 10:30. So
Whatever it is, I'll take a look at the paperwork.
Yeah.
I hope it's not the IRS, but I
I just
will.
would like you to review it and give me some input as to what your thoughts are. Okay? So come down tomorrow. Dad leaves at 12, so anytime after 12 is good.
12 tomorrow.
Yeah, he leaves at 12, he starts at 1 there, so 12, 12:15.
All right, I'll come down in the afternoon. I'm going to hang out with you.
That would be great.
Perfect. All right, I'll talk to you later.
I'd love to come by.
So supposedly, Donna, I think they said the call was 2:09 p.m. and Charlie's going to come down tomorrow. So Donna is going to sit on that, not tell Harvey until sometime tomorrow. What was it? What did he give a time? Lunchtime. Let's call it lunchtime, give or take. That's a lot to sit on. What are you going to do for the evening? I mean, do you think Donna and Harvey, at the point of the bump, right? So in April 2016, Harvey was about 70. Well, almost 72. Donna was, what, 68, 67? Do you think they spent their downtime together, like in the same room, TV, dinner, or like sit in separate rooms and do their own thing? Probably sat together, right? So she's going to sit there together with Harvey and pretend like nothing's happening when this really big thing has happened.
Charlie, where are you when this call happens?
I'm at Skyline Chili, eating a bowl of chili.
Your mom.
Okay, that needs to be the very first t-shirt in the merch store. In our brand new merch store. With fantastic bonfire. Everyone sign up for bonfire. I mean, if you want to sell merch. If you don't, then it's useless.
Mom says that she had some paperwork delivered to her. Do you have any clue what she's talking about?
I have no clue what she's talking about.
What do you guess?
I thought it.
That's quite similar to a Wendy Adelson tactic, isn't it? Did you have any clue what she's talking about? I had no clue what she's talking about. Just repeating the question back in order to give the answer. Using the question to give the answer. Wendy does that all the time.
It was the IRS.
What else do you guess?
Is everyone's health okay?
Do you think it has anything to do
Yeah.
with...
I asked if everyone's health okay because I'm caring and I'm a doctor, so Hippocratic oath. First, do no harm. That's the first rule, Charlie. Okay? That applied to fucking Dan Markel as well. You should have referred to your oath. Okay?
either your extortion or Professor Markel's murder at this point in time?
No, not at all.
Why are you asking so many questions?
My mom, I know my mom my whole life. She's talking weird on the phone. She's like,
Yeah, I've known my mom my whole life.
something's obvious. I can tell something's bothering her, but she's beating around the bush.
Now, your mom says, you say, does it involve me or other people? And your mom responds, well, probably both of us. Probably the two of us. So you probably have a general idea of what I'm talking about. And I want to focus on those statements. Okay? When she says that to you, did you have any clue what she was talking about?
No, I think I asked her a few more questions after that. It's like,
Now, as the calls progress, do you know what she's talking about?
by the time I got to the end of the third call, I knew exactly what she was talking. I
Okay.
felt like I knew pretty much what she was talking about.
By that point in time, and I want to go back to this line, does it involve me or other people? Her answer, well, probably both of us, probably the two of us, so you probably have a general idea of what I'm talking about. By the end of figuring out what this was, what did you understand her to be saying here?
By the time I got down to the third call, I realized fully what she was talking about in this call, in that she's getting extorted.
And so why the two of us?
She knows I was extorted 2 years earlier, and it's the same people that are coming to extort her for money. So she's trying to say like it's the same thing that happened to you is happening to me.
And just to be clear, about a month and a half after the extortion of you, who did you tell?
My mom. She's the only person I told.
Now, when she says it's probably the both of us, probably the two of us, you understand the state's theory is that this murder conspiracy was, in addition to Katie, Sigfredo, and Luis Rivera, you, your mom, your dad, your sister. Do you understand that?
I do now, yeah.
She doesn't say probably the four of us, does she?
No, she does not.
She doesn't say all of us, does she?
No.
She says the two of us, right?
Yeah.
Now, the bump, what was the bump?
Yeah, the two of us that were the instruments of the conspiracy. Not everybody that condoned it helped arrange elements of it, put up money for it. The people that were directly involved with the planning and payment. You know? That's the people. Whoa, look at that one. Soap, sound your trumpet. We just got a Canadian donation in the region of $27,000. Actually, it's 280, but that's still very, very good. Thank you, Victoria Girl. Germany or bust. Derek, if you're out there, we're coming. We're coming, Derek. I'll be in touch. Thank you so much, Victoria Girl. That is legend. You are legend. Thank you kindly.
The bump was an extortion from Latin King gang members. Or actually, it was the FBI pretending to be Latin King gang members.
Now, on this call, there's discussion about your dad's schedule. Do you recall that?
Yes, I do.
Why was it important? Why do you learn later that it was important what your dad's schedule was?
Because my dad never knew what happened to me. And my mom was going to want to talk to me when my dad wasn't around.
If we could go to B, which is a call right after, and it's you calling your mom back.
Sure.
May I publish, Your Honor?
Now he's listening to... I've wondered this in the past. Like, what is Charlie Adelson's music? Just doesn't seem to be there. does it? I can't imagine Charlie cherishing an album. You know what I mean? Like loving this album. Oh, this album is my favorite album. You know, it's not there. It's not fucking there. Even like playing music in the car, he's always on the phone. You know, when he's up in the club, you know, he's not really there for the music, is he? He's there for the ting tang.
Hey, how are you?
Okay.
Good. Is it me not paying the Sun Pass? I'm
No.
just kidding. No, listen, what was I gonna say? Do you mind paying my Brown and Brown insurance?
No.
Okay, because I'm gonna just stick with
Put
the
the
same
topic for
company.
you, then.
Did you hear that very strange thing? Charlie does this. I've heard him. What he said there at the beginning was, "Hey, is it me not paying the Sun Pass?" Just kidding. Is that another one of those jokes that isn't a joke? I mean, what is that? Just kidding. When did he say it? He said it to Katie. He was like, I mean, you didn't do anything with my mom. Just kidding. Just checking. Just, you know, he does this real back off thing. Regularly, on the reg. Up in the club.
Yeah, but the thing is this, if you stay with the same company for 3 years, they can then try to bump you down into a lower bracket.
Oh, okay. So it's a good idea to do that.
So I might as well stay with them and then hope that that's actually true, that they can do what they said about putting it in a lower bracket.
Okay. So you want me to call Pam Hall?
Yeah, because I told her that my mom.
Oh, you are Portuguese, Scooby Snack. Born in Angola. By mistake. Mom was en route to South Africa. Never arrived. 6 cousins are South Africans, and I am Portuguese. Well, boa noite. Where do you live in Portugal? Where are you in Portugal? I'm in Lagoa.
Would call her because she handles like that
Oh.
stuff in the office.
She's topped it off with another one, Soap. Amazing. Thank you so much, Victoria Girl. That is quite something. Couldn't appreciate that more, Victoria Girl. Thank you very, very much. We humbly lie at your feet. Soap, can't you fucking growl or something? You see this? 2 big super chats. She's gone to bed. She doesn't give a fuck. I'm sorry. Please, don't just ignore her. Thank you very much, Victoria Girl. That's awesome.
And then just send them in a check. Because they have to have it before, I want to say the 29th or something.
Okay.
And
I'll do that now.
do that. And listen, whatever it is, whatever someone sent you, I wouldn't worry too much about anything.
You see, he's worked it out now that this is something has happened that's from my end, and it's jumped past me, gone to my mother. She's freaking out. I've got to reassure her, whatever it is, or whatever it isn't, I wouldn't worry about it.
I mean, someone can write whatever they want to write, someone can say whatever they want to say, and I'm not worried. So, was it another bad review on Yelp?
Historial. Very nice, Scooby. Yeah, I know Kashkai's pretty well.
You know, there's reviews coming in. Sometimes they are bad reviews, which is a particularly bad one.
But I'm not being sued.
No.
Okay. All right. Honestly, whatever it is, and I wouldn't just judging from what you're making it sound like. I wouldn't stress it out too much.
In fact, my mother used to dance in the casino at Estoril, in the 70s. In fact, I found a picture of my dad today from 1970, maybe 74. You want to see? Where is it? Where is it? It was here. Oh, there it is. There you go. Papa Metrix.
Fucking A, bro. I'm gonna fucking fuck up where the fuck you fucking with me.
Where's Michelle? I need some fucking shampoo advice for my father. Oh, that's funny. Hey, who was that? Pinto. Thanks so much for the coffees, Pinto. That's awesome. Nice one, Pinto. Okay, where's the play button?
Yeah, listen, people can always write, people can always say anything they want. It doesn't, if someone says you're a bad dentist, it doesn't mean you're a bad dentist. So, but anyway, I'll definitely come down. It actually works out perfect if you had the day off.
Okay. So I'll make you take me out to dinner, so make sure you bring cash with you.
All right.
Okay?
Do I need to bring cash?
Even the way she says, okay, okay. Like, do you get what I'm saying? I'll make you take me out to dinner, so make sure you bring cash with you. Okay? Hint, hint, hint. Oh, I need to bring cash.
Yeah, it's like if you take me out to dinner, and I
want to pause it there.
You call your mom back and you start talking about the Sun Pass. Does that have anything to do with this case, the Sun Pass? Is it code?
Sun Pass is not code.
Why do you mention the Sun Pass?
Because a couple weeks earlier, my Sun Pass had gotten stolen out of the car from a valet. I didn't realize it. My parents were getting all these bills, so they make a big deal about little things sometimes. So whatever it was, I was making fun of my mom. I thought she was like a small issue, like a Sun Pass thing.
And you then start talking about Brown and Brown Insurance. What's Brown and Brown Insurance? Is that code?
No. That was actually the reason I called her back. Is that on the last call I forgot to tell her that I had to pay that insurance. Otherwise, if my insurance lapses, they'll cancel the policy, and it was due. So it was due by the 29th.
You then start making more guesses. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I'm still at a loss for what's going on.
You bring up Yelp. You bring up getting sued, right?
Mm-hmm.
Again, any clue whatsoever what this is about at this point in time?
No, she just sounded really weird on the first call.
Okay. Then we get to the part that we just stopped. And she says to you, I will make you take me out to dinner, so make sure...
Scooby, he just said military so that it would look like there was a... I mean, what he said was, let me ask you something. Is this government related? Or just some bozo off the street? And then he expands on what government related. He's like, like military or anything government related. He's just trying to find a way to ask if it's police without saying police. And the way that he's found to do that is government related. There's no reason he was actually inquiring whether the military was handing Donna a handwritten letter on the street in a covert fashion. He just was trying to ask if it was the police without outrightly saying, is it the police? Is it anything government related?
You bring cash with you. At that point in time, what happens to your demeanor? You can hear it on the call. What happens?
I stutter and I repeat back to her what she just said. I'm like, I got to bring cash with me. Like it was so out of place.
Why did that happen at that point in time?
I think she was trying to hint to me that she's getting extorted.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I think that
what
was
was
it.
odd about you bringing cash to dinner?
I put everything I possibly can on my credit card. That's how I've ended up saving up so much cash. But
And let's hear how you respond.
yeah.
It's not what June said. June said you would always grab some cash.
That's probably a good idea, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was this? I should bring cash. I don't have much cash to bring.
No, I'll see if I have money for dinner. Let's see what I can do.
Was it? Can I ask you? Is someone blackmailing you?
Well, let's just say it's a possibility.
You think someone's trying to blackmail you?
Maybe.
No. That's crazy. Is there? I don't know what blackmail is for, but is there any way I can see you? You can't come up here at all.
It's difficult because they don't finish the parents which wouldn't use for the school. And even if I came up there and got there at 5:15, it would still be tough to, necessarily get back here in time for me to pick them up.
Was this? Can I just ask you this? Is this anything government related, or is this like whack job writing a letter to you?
Like who?
Is it like a whack job writing a letter to you, or is this government related?
No, I don't know if it's government related.
So it's not government or military or anything like that.
No.
Who was the letter addressed to?
Me.
To you. That's crazy. Did it have a? Do you know who sent it to you?
That was a pretty good idea. But, we'll talk about it later. Either, I would like to, I will definitely, I just don't know if I'm going to get back here in time for them
Whoever sent you the letter sent you an anonymous letter. Did they sign it? So someone showed up. Was it like by a process server?
What I did was,
It wasn't. Where did they come to you at?
when I walked out of the building, and they were late, and I put that both driveways at the right time,
Right.
and then I walked in about 5 feet from pressing the button so that I could cross the street to get the doors open,
Right.
and just to get out of the driveway. Yes. Okay, Katie, so you say that.
So let's talk about this call.
You ask your mom after she tells you to bring cash, is someone blackmailing you? And she says it's a good possibility. Now what are you thinking?
I'm starting to evaluate. I still don't have an idea, but I was extorted 21 months earlier, so I'm starting to evaluate: is it related to that, or what could it be?
And are you growing more concerned?
Very, yeah.
And you ask her who the letter was addressed to. Why do you ask her that?
Because I was the one who was extorted 21 months earlier. I had no idea why they'd be going to my mom. If
Now-
it was related to me.
You then mention the possibility of seeing your mom tonight, and she doesn't want to see you tonight. Why doesn't she want to see you?
Because she's watching the boys, and she didn't want Wendy to ask her, where were you? And have to tell her, what's going on.
Now, again, I thought according to the state's theory, Wendy is a co-conspirator in this case, right?
That's part of their theory.
Now,
Not to the extent that she was complicit in or aware at the time that it happened of Katie being the fucking middlewoman to get her baby daddy to be the fucking hitman, because that's stupid. Hey, who are we gonna hire to do this really risky thing that will put us all away for the rest of our lives if we get caught? How about someone who's really close to us? Wendy would have never signed off on that. And I have a collection of evidence to support, put it that way, that is what was revealed to her at the Uvia dinner. That Wendy had no knowledge prior to the murder that it was Katie and Sigfredo that were the people Charlie was going to. Gotta come to that video sooner or later. Gotta go through all the evidence again. But you know what? I want to take a break. As soon as we're done with this trial, I got a bunch more stories to tell about other things. You know, there are other things. And they're great. Even in some way, I mean, granted, I do give this case, the murder of Dan Markel, it is hands down one of the all-time most amazing cases. But that's in no small part down to Georgia Kappelman, down to the judges. You know, the elements of the case are really interesting, but we are so lucky to have been gifted with the prosecutor that we have, the lead prosecutor. Did you see her today? Amazing. And not just in her delivery, but in her reference material. Within her argument. I mean, bulletproof. What was it? The example she gave of cases that do reasonably require a change of venue, and drew comparisons to cases that have attracted mass civil unrest, rioting, people setting fire to buildings, vandalism, guns in the street, marches, looting, huge public thing going on, right? And then a case happened, like the George Floyd case, for example. That's a good example. So that had to change venue. Why? Because it was reasonable to assume that the jury that would be called to decide the guilt or innocence of Derek Chauvin, maybe if they wanted to vote not guilty, would have grounds to fear for their personal safety because of the huge rioting in, was it Minneapolis? I think it was Minneapolis. You know, that's just such a great opinion that I'd never heard before. Jury members fear for their own safety if they render a verdict in conflict with the violent public sentiment. I mean, what a great parallel. Has that happened in the Donna Adelson case? No, it hasn't. Not even one bit, right? She's fine. And that goddamn expert that came in, like, yes, we looked at news stories and we saw that if it was a news story about, say, a car accident or a house fire, that people wouldn't remember the details because there was only so many opportunities for each individual that was of the jury age. There was only so many opportunities for them to be exposed to that media. But with this case, there were over 93 million hits. And then Georgia Kappelman just tore down that argument. Tore it right down. What did she say? She said, Yeah, but I mean, she basically just called this guy who charges $10,000 for an in-person meeting. Or like what he did today, he was on a fucking Zoom call for an hour, if that, 45 minutes, well, it's probably an hour. $4,000 he charges. And I could have done a better job without preparing. Right? All that terminology. I used to do a very similar thing to what he does, right? Well, perhaps that's overstating it a bit, but I just know those kind of guys. I know those kind of guys that do that fluctuate, that use the word fluctuate every fucking sentence. And I know that he's full of shit. $4,000 an hour. That's where we need to get to, Soap. We need to go into either jury consultancy or expert testimony. I mean, but again, I really, this is one of the first, I don't know if it's the first. I think it's just because it's happening at the moment. It's so readily available in my mind. But it's like, think back to Josh Dubin. There's this whole cottage industry of people that are running around selling services to people like Charlie Adelson, a rich Miami dentist with this family that are going to that really, how they expect to operate is throw a load of money at it. If we throw a load of money at it, we'll win. And then there's someone like Josh Dubin just waiting in the wings, baby, with a promise. What's the promise? Hey, if you pay me $1 million, right, I'll come and speak to the jury pool and I'll be able to select. I'll get a sense about how they're going to vote and I'll be able to ask psychological questions and develop a profile on each. All of this is bullshit. All of it's bullshit. We listened to Josh Dubin's questions. There was nothing there. There was zero there that was worth $1 million fucking dollars. And he knows that. He knows what he's selling is bullshit. But it doesn't matter, because who is he selling to? He's selling to Charlie Adelson. He's selling to someone who's going away forever anyway. You know what I mean? There's this wonderful cottage industry where you can go to some dickhead like Charlie with a shitload of money that thought he was better than everyone else and got caught. I mean, what a fucking perfect... The reason I don't fucking really sell things directly is I decided that I wanted to maintain a conscience. Right? You can make a lot of money by selling if you lack a conscience. That's the deal. But in this case, the gloves are off, right? Fuck them. Would take all your money. Yeah, I got to get involved with this. That cottage industry. Selling services to desperate rich people that are facing life. I mean, what a beautiful thing. So, I've heard other people like Roberta Glass, who's, anti-innocence project, as she calls it, and all that sort of stuff. And I know where her argument goes, and I get it, and I agree to certain portions of what she's talking about. A lawyer that will make it their business to go and exonerate a guilty person because of a technicality, because they know if they do that, they'll get a big payoff, and they're on a fucking 55% commission, right? That's their business. And there's a whole, bunch of lawyers that are out there just looking for that technicality to get people off, whether they're guilty or innocent. They're not in it. They're in it to make money. And that's probably a bad thing. And, there should probably be some some prevention action taken against that. But with Josh Dubin, go for it, man. And there was even a suggestion in Donna's hearing today from Mr. Zellman, I believe, which was like, if we can't change venue and get another and go for another jury pool, we're gonna have to get another guy like Josh Dubin. And I was like, yes, bring him back, give him another $1 million. Hey, give him $2 million. Go for it. What else can we say? Yeah, what was the ultimate ruling? I know that Judge Everett's going to reserve judgment and issue a written ruling, but it sounds like what he's going to do is withhold finally ruling on the venue issue, whether or not it's going to change venue, until they've at least done jury selection in Leon County. With the idea of, if we go through jury selection and we find that we are unable to get an unbiased jury, we can still change venue. But, you know, I think he's only doing that to, you know, it's like a soft denial for the request from the defense, right? If he just says, no, we're not changing venue, we're proceeding, he looks harsh, which would be more grounds for appeal or whatever, you know. If he's got this kind of like, well, you know, let's just find out and we'll do jury selection. Judge Everett knows that they absolutely can find a jury in fucking Leon County that are, you know, Georgia said that they've managed to find juries 3 times already in this case. And yeah, as time goes on, more people learn about it, but other people forget it. You know, you got to be 18 to be a juror. An 18-year-old today would have been 8 or 9 when Dan was killed, or less, 7 years old when Dan was killed, right? You think they've been following the case since it happened? Obviously not. They've probably never heard of it. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of people in Tallahassee that have never fucking heard of it. Obviously. And I think Georgia said it's like thirds, the rule of thirds. There's people that have heard of it and have an opinion. There's people that have heard a bit about it and don't have an opinion. And there's people that haven't heard of it. And it's roughly, you know, the rule of thirds. Anyway, back to this video. Thank you, Thank you, Sally, and thank you, Victoria Girl.
You then say on this, is the person threatening you or anything? Why are you asking that?
Hey, Michelle, we were talking about you. You want to see my dad's hair in 1974? There you go. What kind of shampoo should he have? I think at the time he was just using the blood of a slaughtered goat, which really softens the leather on his jacket as well, I suppose. Yeah. Any shampoo tips? If we could go back in time to 1974, Michelle, what would we do for my father?
Because on the night of the 18th, I was told if you don't pay in 48 hours, you're going to get killed. So I was trying to compare it to what happened to me to see is this related to what happened to me.
You later tell her that your advice to her is going to be to go to the police. Why would your advice to her be to go to the police at this point in time?
Because I don't think it's related to what happened to me. When I asked my mom, are they threatening you? She was like, well, maybe. You never know how to interpret these things. And like it was very clear what the threat was to me on the 18th. So like, okay, then it's something unrelated at that level of seriousness. Maybe it's something involving code enforcement or OSHA or somebody messing with them. So I was just like, all right, just go to the police.
Now,
What was that? Code
towards the end of the
enforcement.
call, you say it wouldn't be the first time I'm being threatened. Do you recall that?
Yeah.
What were you referring to?
When I was extorted 21 months earlier, I was threatened. So I was trying to compare it to that to see, is it possibly related to what happened?
How does that make sense? It wouldn't be the first time I've been threatened. I mean, the only reason he's saying that is it is like, well, you know, I knew how to deal with that time previously when I was threatened, so I'll deal with this time when we're being threatened. I don't think you dealt with it well. You emptied your safe and agreed to pay $3,000 a month vig that didn't chip away at the principal. Yeah, it's not the first time I've been threatened. I've been threatened before and I got fucked in the ass, so I better bend over for this one too.
To me.
At the end of this call, do you know what is going on yet?
No, I don't know what's going on yet.
Let's go to the third call, which is 12 minutes later. And this is C.
This is at 3:00 p.m. between you and your mom.
Hey, Charlie.
Hey, sorry about that. Quick question for you. Well, one thing I was going to tell you is obviously don't talk about things in the apartment or any place.
So, obviously,
The other thing is, was the person black, white, Hispanic,
what?
and they just came up to you and they said your name and they handed you a piece of paper?
No, no, didn't hand it right away. First spoke to me for a while and then handed it to me.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
And they wearing hats, sunglasses, or?
No, nothing. Nothing. Describe them to a T.
What's that? You could describe them to a T.
No, nothing.
Was the person nervous or were they angry or?
No, calm as could be. Totally calm.
Oh. I hate this thing that Donna does. No. Calm as can be. Calm as can be. What is that? What is it that makes her say it like that? There's another thing that she's going to say in a second that's similar. No. Calm as can be. What is she trying to convey by saying it in that way? That she's good at recognizing how people are. That's what she's. That's when people talk in that kind of way, isn't it? Oh no. He was calm as can be. Calm as can be.
That's really crazy.
That she's a good judge of character.
Are they trying to ask for money or something?
Yeah.
If someone trying to, I mean, listen, if it's something like that, it sounds probably like go to the police, but
And they have to, but they'd rather talk to you first and then.
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't, there's scumbags out there all the time that try to do stuff like that.
Oh, I know.
So,
That's why I just want you to see, because I don't want, your father upset.
don't say anything to Dad until I take a look at it, because Dad's wise off
Absolutely.
on everything.
That's what I suggested, after he goes to work tomorrow.
Did the person give you any kind of like time frame or anything?
No.
Okay. Yeah.
It's clear what's wrong with it.
What is it? Kind of exactly what they ask for?
I don't know, this TV is probably about $5.
They asked you for $5,000. That's fucking crazy. Yeah.
This is just brilliant, right? Donna tries to code out the money, right? And in doing so, in her attempt to code out the fact that they asked for money and they're going to have to pay someone off, in her attempt to mask that, uses the TV, which connects them back to the original crime. And that is that exposure. That's just cost them the exposure there. And it was for nothing because Charlie doesn't even keep it going with the kind of, let's keep it coded. He's just like, they asked you for $5,000. Total fuck up. Donna fucked up by using the TV, and it was wasted because Charlie just went straight back to calling it money. It would have been so much better if she'd have just said, they asked me for $5,000. They want us to pay them $5,000. That would have been better because it ended up being exposed anyway that they're talking about money because Charlie didn't pick up the code, and Donna's choice of code was TV, which connects to the original code around the murder. What a complete fuck up.
And then she, like, girlfriend. Hi, Sandra. Come on in. Good. How are you?
I still want to know who Sandra is. Is that a nanny? I think it's a nanny, right? Or cleaner.
Okay.
That's crazy. Let me take a look at it,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll go from there.
Lincoln, your turn. Lincoln's going first. Okay, do that one. Yeah.
Now, in the 12 minutes before this call, had you started to put the pieces together and figure out what was going on a little bit?
A little bit. I was thinking about the first call and the second call, and the more I thought about it, I thought this is related to what happened to me. Somehow this is related to it.
And what does your attention shift to in the very beginning of this call?
I wanted to compare it to what happened to me 21 months earlier to see are these the same people that are doing this.
And so the first question you ask, were they black, white, or Hispanic? Why do you ask that question?
Because I always suspected that it was Sigfredo that did it. I mean, process in my head, that was my first guess, and that's who I would have guessed it was. When I met him, he was an angry guy, and I was trying to see, is this somebody fitting his description that's maybe coming to my mom and doing this?
Why do you ask her? Did they give you a time frame?
Because that night I was told you got 48 hours to pay up. I'm trying to compare it to, is this person telling my mom you got 48 hours to pay up?
Now, she says no, but it is clear what is wanted.
Margaret, please. Margaret is still waiting for a coffee mug. I think you might have missed the beginning, Margaret, but we are taking on... I'm going to start collecting names and information from other people that have been fucked by this company that provide the merch. And we're going to do a class action lawsuit against them. So, it's just crazy that this company has let everyone down, Margaret. So sorry that you're waiting for your coffee mug. They still haven't paid me. I put in a payment request to them on March 11th, and they haven't paid me at all. So yeah, they're fucking everyone, and it's not just True Crime Metrix. Virtually anybody that's got a merchandise store with Teespring, it's the same all over. It's this company. They're supposed to be the market leader. This ain't a mom-pop operation. It's big league stuff, international stuff, and it's just the strangest thing. And but if you send me, Margaret, to the Gmail, that's truecrimemetrics@gmail.com, order confirmation for your coffee mug. That will help in my evidence pile, and I'll also be able to keep in touch with you about anything I know about the mug, okay? I hope that's okay for you, Margaret. And anyone else that's waiting for merchandise as well, please do email a record to truecrimemetrics@gmail.com.
Recall that?
Yes.
And then she says, this TV is probably about 5. Now, before we get there, in the very start of the call, you say don't talk about anything in the apartment or any place. Why do you say that to your mom?
Well, that was one of the first things I told her when I told her what had happened to me when I got extorted and was picking up the checks from her, is to never talk about it with anybody, not talk about it on the phone, don't talk in the apartment, is that there's always a chance that the police are listening.
And what would you be afraid the police were listening to if you didn't do a murder?
I never wanted anyone to know I was extorted.
Why didn't you want the police to know you were extorted? What would happen if the police knew you were extorted?
They would come talk to me.
And what would happen if they came and talked to you? What did you think would happen at that point?
If they came to talk to me, if I decided to talk to them, I'd have to tell them what happened to me. And if I told them what happened to me, my life would be in danger. These people would come find me. They'd find someone in my family. I mean, they don't care.
Now, going back to the TV comment, where she says, this TV is probably about 5. Did you have code words with your mom that TV, I think they said, do you have that sheet what TV equals? Did TV, was it a code word?
There is absolutely no code word involving TV whatsoever.
Now, by the way, your response isn't, no, it's an air conditioner. Your response is, they want $5,000? Was there any code there?
Not at all. I just wanted to clarify what
Back Pain Forever asks, had Charlie admitted to meeting Sigfredo before? No. Charlie says that Sigfredo Garcia did this thing when Charlie was towing the jet ski, and Sigfredo Garcia put his car in the way and got out and was pounding his chest like an angry gorilla. And but I'm very, very doubtful that ever happened. I would have expected to have heard something that substantiated it. Some reference on a call between Katie and Sigfredo. I have to go back and remember what Katie said, because I'm sure that she confirmed the story in her testimony in Charlie's trial, which was supposed to be her tell-all, right? It's hard for me to think why Katie would continue to lie about that, but when Charlie was telling us the other day, huge indicators of deception were just falling off him. And it fits with, Daniel Rashbaum's always doing this big thing about the Yardbird dinner. You didn't know that sitting there eating your meal, that Sigfredo Garcia had plans to kill you. It's like all that happened was that Sigfredo Garcia was watching them eat and said to his best buddy, I'm so angry I could run them over with my truck. Which is a pretty normal range thing to say. Even Jeff Lacasse tells police that, he's said multiple times that he'd like to kill Professor Markel, you know. People say that all the time. Oh, I could kill that guy, you know. Granted, it was probably a bit more overstated than that, but Sigfredo Garcia was not sitting in his truck watching them eat, actually planning to turn on the ignition and drive into the patio. But Daniel Rashbaum really wants the jury to think that, right? So the story about Sigfredo Garcia accosting Charlie with the jet skis helps that. So there's certainly a reason why they're including it. I just don't know why Katie would include it. And maybe it did happen. I have severe doubts that it's true.
Was being said to me, to repeat it back.
Your mom then brings up that they brought up an ex-girlfriend.
Whoa. Hey, Michelle, we got to pause the video. Sorry for so many pauses, but Michelle has sent us, Metrix, I hope you saw my very long detailed instructions for thick, kinky, wild hair. It's good advice for anyone with beautiful head of hair like that. Well, let's check it out. How about Moroccan oil hydration shampoo, like argan oil? Is that what you're talking about? Is that because argan oil has, what is it? Some kind of chemical, and good natural chemical. How about Moroccan oil hydration shampoo followed by a hydration mask? Blot dry with a cotton t-shirt, not towel. Then scrunch an oil and cream mixture in. Lightly run fingers through and air dry. Hey Michelle, I should take you to the drugstore with me. I'm going to send you a photograph of the products that are available to me, and you can tell me what to get. Because that sounds great. Whatever you're writing here, I'm going to screenshot it. I mean, my hair's not as long as my dad's is in that picture, nowhere near. But it would be if it grew. But I never, ever know what kind of shampoo is good or bad or anything.
Girlfriend, do you remember that?
I do.
Now, Ms. Kappelman, in her cross-examinations, went through how you had several ex-girlfriends after Katie Magbanua. You recall that?
I do.
Did any of your other ex-girlfriends become involved in a situation where you were extorted?
I only had one ex-girlfriend whose friends extorted me.
So once she brings up your ex-girlfriend, did you have a pretty good idea?
I only had one ex-girlfriend that murdered my sister's ex-husband and then came to me and demanded $250,000. Yeah, if that happens twice, you need to look at yourself. You're making bad choices.
Of what was going on?
Oh, I knew exactly what was going on at this point. Well, almost exactly what was going on.
By the way, also during this call, you again remind your mom not to say anything to your father, right?
Yes, I did.
At the end of this call, what do you decide to do?
I'm going to give Katie a call.
And why are you going to reach out to Katie?
I want to see if her friends extorting my mom that she knows of, because she sure knew what had happened to me.
We're going to now publish D, Your Honor, already in evidence.
You may.
This is a call between you and Catherine Magbanua at 4:27 p.m. on that same day, correct?
Yes.
You want to use your headphone?
Hello?
Hey, what's going on?
What's up?
No, like, someplace you can talk to me?
So what?
Are you any place that you can talk to me?
Just talk right now.
What's that?
Just talk right now. Just talk.
Okay, can you go somewhere that's not loud when I'm talking to you?
I can't. It's like loud, but I can't get out.
Okay, I'm trying to walk outside and talk to you right now. I can't even fucking get outside. Alright, so you better not. Alright, somebody, hang on, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear.
Okay, I just want you to listen to me. I'll be able to talk to you in person when I see you tomorrow.
Okay.
Because I don't know what's going on,
Mm-hmm.
but my mom walked the kids. I only heard part of the story,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna go down there and talk to her tomorrow to find out what's going on.
Okay.
Because she didn't want to elaborate,
Uh-huh.
but she said that someone approached her on the street,
Uh-huh.
called her by name,
Mm-hmm.
handed her an envelope with something in it,
Yeah.
and somebody was. She really wouldn't go into detail, and listen, I have no idea what this is in reference to,
Uh-huh.
but something regarding her son, something regarding his ex-girlfriend, and the person asking my mom for some money.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. I'm like, first what she was saying, I thought it was like something involved in the IRS or a payment
Yeah.
or something like that. So I don't even know what the fuck it's about at all.
So somebody just like bumped into your mom like that?
Well, they came up to her on the street after she dropped the kids off at school.
Yeah.
I guess she brought them to school. I don't even know. But it must know her routine. It must know who she is.
Yeah.
They walked up to her. They called her by name.
Uh-huh.
They handed her an envelope.
Uh-huh.
And she said they spoke to her for a few minutes.
Yeah.
And then she said they were making reference to my ex-girlfriend. I have no fucking clue what that's about.
Yeah.
And that they explained that they needed to be paid for money.
For what?
I don't even know if my mom doesn't even want to talk to me on the phone. But look,
But like, did she see the person? Was she like, you should have like,
oh yeah,
asked her something?
that's what I said. I said someone's going to try to blackmail you or something.
Exactly,
Right.
right? Running you like that.
I said you got to go straight to the police. And she's like, I don't even know what this is about. I don't want to talk about it. I go, well, take a picture and send me what it is. She's like, I just want you to see the person. So I'm going to go there. I can't even fucking go there today because I won't get out of work until 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
So she's like, just,
So somebody's like stalking your mom?
I don't even fucking know. I don't know what's going on, what my mom's involved. I mean, you didn't do anything with my mom. I mean, yeah.
Who would I do going on?
Let me pause it right there. You say, and I quote, I mean, you didn't do anything with my mom.
I did say that.
What were you asking her?
Are your friends extorting my mom that you know of? Are they up to this?
Now, during this call, you say, I have no idea what this is in reference to. Why do you say that to Katie?
I'm calling her up and talking about something that she'd asked me to never talk about, and I never planned on talking about it. So I wanted to let her know that I wasn't setting her up, and that I needed her help. That's why I was calling her up.
And you make reference to an ex-girlfriend, but you're kind of wishy-washy whether she's the ex-girlfriend. Why?
Because I was implying it was her, but I didn't want her to feel like I was setting her up.
She says to you when you say, I mean, you didn't do anything with my mom. She says, what would I do with your mom? And you say, just checking.
Yep.
Katie seems surprised on this call.
Very.
How did that make you feel?
That made me feel good. It made me feel like it wasn't her friends that were doing it. I mean, she knew when it happened last time. She definitely wasn't acting surprised.
What was
do you mean
your
she wasn't
level of
acting
concern
surprised?
at this point in time?
If the statement of what doesn't speak to being surprised, what does it speak to? What?
It was probably medium. I mean, I was still pretty concerned. What my mom didn't.
No, I think, thinking back, I would say that I was probably medium concerned. Yeah. No one would say that ever. I gotta hear that again. 5327. Probably medium.
Katie seems surprised on this call.
Very.
How did that make you feel?
Right.
That made me feel good.
Did you hear that? Did Katie seem surprised on this call? Very is his answer. Now listen.
It made me feel like it wasn't her friends that were doing it. I mean, she knew when it happened last time. She definitely wasn't acting surprised.
What? Did Katie sound surprised on this call? Very. She knew what would happen last time, and her friends, she definitely wasn't acting surprised. Did I miss something or what?
She says, what would I do with your mom? And you say, just checking.
Yep.
Katie seems surprised on this call.
All right. That's definitely what he said, right? I'm not imagining things. Did Katie seem surprised on this call?
Very.
How did that
Very.
make you feel?
That made me feel good. It made me feel like it wasn't her friends that were doing it. I mean, she knew when it happened last time. She definitely wasn't acting surprised.
Like, holy fuck. How can you get it that fucking that wrong? I mean, the two things you could understand if his contradiction came after like a long explanation and he got lost in his lies and yes, she was surprised, no, she wasn't surprised, but it was right next to each other. And he's surprised that this didn't work. I wish we could have seen Judge Everett's face when that happened. Let's just do it one more time, because that was something special.
She says, what would I do with your mom? And you say, just checking.
Yep.
Katie seems surprised on this call.
Very.
How did that make you feel?
That made me feel good. It made me feel like it wasn't her her friends that were doing it. I mean, she knew when it happened last time. She definitely wasn't acting surprised.
I don't think he even realizes the nonsense that he just said. It hasn't sank in, has it? Look, he's still just waiting for the next question. He's thinking, oh, that went well. Yeah, fooled the jury again. Stupid fucking Tallahassee elephant feet jury. What do you retread tires for a living, do you? Find that work illuminating, do you?
What was your level of concern at this point in time?
I was probably medium. I mean, I was still pretty concerned. My mom didn't sound right on the phone.
Now, there's a call that occurs after this call that is not in evidence, where Katie calls you back. Do you recall what Katie wanted you to do when she called you back?
She wanted me to go down there that night to see my parents.
And did she seem very concerned?
She was extremely concerned when she called me back.
Did you go to see your mom that night?
No, I finished work probably after 10, and I went down there the next afternoon.
Okay, so let's talk about the next day. So just to be clear, the bump happens and these calls happen on April 19th, 2016, right?
Yes.
We're now at April 20th. Where did you meet your mom?
I met her in the lobby of the building.
And did you go anywhere with her?
Yeah, we went for a short walk and ended up sitting on the bench.
What time approximately did you get to Miami and see your mom?
I'd say like 1:30ish.
Why did you meet her then?
Because she wanted to wait for my dad to go to work.
Where did when you walked to this bench? It's outside of a restaurant called Monty's, right? Not far from a restaurant called Monty's.
Yeah, it's right next to Monty's, actually.
Did you notice anyone following you?
No.
As you sit here today, do you know that you were being followed?
Today I do, yeah.
Okay. Now, I think State's Exhibit 54 has been put in evidence. It's a picture of you and your mom on that bench outside of Monty's. Is that a fair depiction of where you were?
Yeah, we were sitting.
There's been testimony, I think, by Special Agent Sanford that you and your mom were whispering or trying not to be heard. Is that testimony true?
Yeah, I mean, we wanted some privacy for sure.
And how was your mom acting?
She was very scared.
What did she tell you?
Well, she told me that she went to go pick the boys up from school, and that this really big guy came over to her and said that you've been helping out Katie and Tuto, and my brother Tato is going through a hard time, and he's incarcerated, and my brother Tato did a big favor for you, and you need to do what's right. You need to take care of my brother Tato. My mom was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And the guy handed her a copy of an article, and it had $5,000 written on it, and it also had a cell phone written on it.
At this point in time, did you have any clue whatsoever who Tato was?
No, I've never heard of Tato in my life.
Okay, so let me make sure that we're all on the same page. You knew who Tuto was, right?
Tuto is Sigfredo Garcia.
But you had no idea of anyone named Tato or Luis Rivera, correct?
Never heard of that name before.
Did your mom show you the paper that was given to her?
Yes, she did.
Do you recall if you took the paper with you or whether you wrote down the phone number from the paper?
I don't know whether I took the paper with me or I just took a piece of paper and wrote the phone number down to the paper. One of the two, but I did have the number with me when I left.
Okay, just quickly, as Monty's came up, I wanted to do a fish comparison. Sorry. So there is Monty's where Charlie met with Donna after they met in the lobby and so on. And now we're going to look at the fish that Charlie had on the wall of his house in Whale Harbour. So we've got a shark, a fish, and a whale. And I think that he stole this fish from Monty's, drunk, ran down the road, badly trying to conceal it under his jacket, while a bunch of his friends paid the bill and, laughed. It's very similar, isn't it? It's very similar sort of decoration.
Okay. Now, at this point in time, when you're meeting with your mom, what was she concerned about?
I mean, she was concerned that she was going to get hurt, and that they were going to hurt her, and then someone else in the family was going to pay. And she wanted to go to the police.
What did you tell your mom in response? What was your theory at this point in time?
I was telling my mom, this is so different than what happened to me. I said, it could actually. I was actually thinking it could have been Sigfredo Garcia, because him and Katie were in this explosive fight, and I always suspected that it was him, and that he's now extorting my mom, and that's what it was. So I thought it could be that. That scared my mom a lot. But then I said, this is probably the police. I said, it's, they're not telling you 48 hours or you're going to get killed. They're not hiding who they are for the first, even at that point, I only suspected Sigfredo. This guy's not even hiding who he is. He's not wearing a hat. He's not wearing glasses. He's not trying to conceal himself. The first time I wasn't given a cell phone number. This time they're giving cell phone numbers. They're giving names. They're giving all this information. I'm like, Mom, I think this is the police.
What did you tell your mom you were going to do?
I told her that I was going to go ahead and go talk to Katie and see if she thinks that this is Sigfredo, who I was suspected, and if it is, see if she could get him to stop.
Now, did your mom during this meeting tell you anything about your dad?
Yeah.
What did she say?
She was really worried that her safety was an issue now, and my dad's with her all the time, and she's like, "Look, I know you don't want me to say anything to Dad, but I have to say something to him. Like this has gone too far. I can't not." So I told her, I said, "If you tell him, you got to promise not to say anything to Wendy. Please do not let him go to the police. Like you're gonna put my life at risk. You're gonna put your life at risk. Like, let me just figure out if Katie could get these people to stop, if she's related to them somehow, and identify them and get them to stop."
Why were you so adamant that she not tell Wendy?
I thought Wendy would go to the police, and I thought my dad would too, but my mom swore that she'd be able to get him not to go.
What did you tell your mom about what you would do with your dad after she told him?
I said, after you tell Dad what's going on, I said, I'll be happy to have him come over to my house, or I'll meet him. I'm sure he's going to have a whole bunch of questions, and I'll talk to Dad tomorrow.
Now, after you left your mom, what did you do next?
I left, and then I drove up to see Katie. She was probably working for a real estate company, and it was about 15 minutes away from my parents' place.
And I think we heard the calls. I'm not going to play them again. Did you call her to find out the address and where to meet her?
I got the address, and then I called her again as I was pulling into the plaza, because I'd never been there before. and she walked out of the office that she was working at.
Okay. Now, when you got to her, by the way, where she was working, was it in a strip mall?
Yes.
Okay. When you got there, where was she?
She was standing in front of the I think it was Optimar Realty. She had just come outside so she could wave me down.
And did you go straight into the restaurant, or did something happen before you went into the restaurant later?
She walked over to the car. I pulled up into a parking spot. She walked over to the car. I wanted to talk to her, so I said, hop in the car. I need to talk to you.
Now, did you know that you were being followed?
No, not at all.
When she got in the car, what did you learn and what happened?
Well, she asked me what happened to my mom. And I told her, and I said, do you think this is T? I said, well, I said, was T behind what happened to me? And she looked at me. She said, yes.
And what did you ask her about the information your mom had received when she was approached on the street?
I asked her if she thought that this was T. Do you think he's doing this to my mom? Because you guys are fighting. Like a week or so earlier, they had this explosive fight because she saw his phone and some girl was sending her text messages of a tattoo that she just got at like 3 a.m. So they were like breaking up, and now that my mom's getting extorted and she's having a fight with him, I'm suspecting that it's him.
Do you bring up the name Tato?
Yes.
What happened when you brought up the name Tato?
I said, have you ever heard of some guy Tato? Like, I thought it was a joke that there's a Tuto and a Tato. Like, have you ever heard of Tato? And she started talking.
What did she say?
She said, yeah, I know Tato. Tato is Tuto's best friend. And she said, he's a bad dude. He's the head of the Latin Kings. She said, they went up to Tallahassee, and he's the one who rented a car, and he's the one who did this to Dan. And my head's like, I'm freaking out because this is the guy that's now extorting my mom. And I'm like, Katie, is this guy incarcerated? She's like, yeah. And I'm like, does he have brothers? She said he's got 4 or 5 brothers, but he's got a couple hundred brothers in the Latin Kings in Miami.
Let's stop there for a second. So why did you ask her if he was incarcerated?
Because the guy who came up to my mom said my brother Tato is incarcerated. He's going to hard.
So that would be one hell of a coincidence if he wasn't, wouldn't it? Why did you ask Katie if Tato was incarcerated? Because the guy who came up to my mom said he was a brother of Tato who was incarcerated. It's too much.
Time.
Too much.
And he needs.
Can you believe that we haven't even gotten to the cross yet? We're still on goddamn direct, and it's hilarious. I can't get over that. That fucking, what was it? Did Katie sound confused? Very. And why was that? Well, she knew who it was, so she didn't sound confused at all.
Your help, you need to take care of him the way you're taking care of Katie and Tuto.
Now, when Katie is telling you that there is a Tato, that he's the head of the Latin Kings, that he's incarcerated, and you know he has brothers.
The two. Hey, the two. How you doing? Good to see you.
What starts going through your mind?
Holy shit, this is real. Like this is real extortion, and it's happening again.
What does Katie tell you about what happened in Tallahassee and who did what?
She told me that T was high on drugs and got fast food. And
I'm going to interrupt you for 1 second just to make it clear to the jury.
Drugs
I'm
and
gonna ask
fast
you-
food.
I know she used their nicknames.
Yeah.
Okay? Make that clear. But for the purposes of today, let's use their names
Okay.
so that there's no confusion. Okay?
So
I
the-
understand in the car she used nicknames, either Tato, Tuto, or T. But just for the purposes of today, use their names.
Sure.
Okay? What did she tell you about who did what in Tallahassee?
She said that Sigafredo was high on
Sigafredo. I'll be frigga seeing you.
drugs at the hotel, and that Luis Rivera was the one who shot Dan.
Now, did she tell you that Tato was also behind your extortion? Or no?
She said that Sigfredo brought him to go do this, and that it was he got paid, but it was the extorter was Sigfredo.
Did she describe to you, you said she described to you about a rental car. Did she describe to you anything about the payments the next day?
Yes,
What did she tell you?
she said when she brought the money, she met up with them and she gave the money to Sigfredo and him, and that she didn't touch any of it, and that she didn't take a single dime for herself or anything like that.
Now, when you're hearing this in the car, by the way, how long do you think you were in the car for?
10 to 15 minutes, probably closer to 10.
How are you feeling, and what do you now want to do when you're in the car? You've just told your mom that you think it's the police, that it's all going to be okay. Now you've heard that there is a real Tato.
10 to 15 minutes. Probably closer to 10. Again, that's just not, that's too small of a window of time difference to bother saying closer to 10. If you said, oh, it was an hour or two, probably closer to 2, there's room there. There's room there. You don't say, yeah, it was between 10 and 15 minutes, probably closer to 10. You see what I mean? That is not how people talk. There's no need to make a distinction in such a small gap. An hour minimum. Even if you said, oh, it was probably 30 minutes, 3/4 of an hour, probably closer to half an hour. That doesn't work. The minimum is an hour to use a sentence like that. How long were you there? We were there for probably 1 or 2 hours, probably closer to 1 hour. Probably closer to 2 hours. That's the minimum. You don't say 10 to 15 minutes, probably closer to 10.
How are you feeling, and what are you thinking about doing at this point in time?
Yeah, fantastic link there, Michelle. Don't forget, best way to support the channel is on buymeacoffee.com/true crime memberships. True crime memberships. Check out the memberships on True Crime Metrix, Coffee link, and Patreon, and YouTube memberships. They're all very good. And they exist, and they're waiting. They're waiting for you.
I'm freaking out because I thought it was Sigfredo. Then I'm hearing all this stuff about this guy Tato, his name is Luis Rivera. Everything seeming real. I was extorted. Now my mom's getting extorted. Katie's telling me she doesn't think it's Tato or his people. He wouldn't do it like this. He would have done it the way it happened to me. She's telling me that she thinks it's a copycat of one of Tato's, someone who knows Tato and is doing a copycat on him and doing their own extortion, or it's probably she thinks it's the police.
Now, how is she acting in the car?
She's upset. She's very upset.
And you've told her that they used her name, correct?
Yes.
What do you decide to do after she tells you this bombshell information?
Well, I mean, I had more questions than answers when I got done. When I got done talking to her in the car, I was more confused than ever. And I had told my mom, I'm going to talk to Katie and see if her friend is behind this and if she can get him to stop. And now it's like open the door to all these other possibilities and scenarios of what it could be and what to do. So Katie was the only person on the planet that I could talk to about this and see if I could try to get it to stop. So I said, Katie, you want to go inside and get some coffee? And I thought I'd be able to talk to her more and try to see what are we supposed to do.
Now, we know you like to talk. How about when you're scared and trying to figure things out?
I mean, I was freaking out. I was freaking out, and I'm trying to figure things out by talking out different scenarios out loud, thinking if it's this, we do.
Thank you so much for that super chat, Carla York. Thank you for helping us reach our goal at the top of the chat. Thank you, Carla York.
This, or if we do this, what'll happen? Or if we do this, what'll happen? And that's why it's a lot of it's very jumbled up because I'm all over the place.
Okay. So you decide to go inside and get coffee. Katie agrees with you. And is that when you go into the restaurant called, and I always I pronounce it wrong, Your Honor, I'm sorry, Dolce Vita?
Yes, it is.
Okay. When you went into the restaurant, who did you think was behind?
He acts like it's an impossibility for him to say it correctly. I mean, why don't you just... It's 3 syllables, man. You know, it's like... Dolce Vita. What's the problem? Dolce Vita.
Well, let me start by saying something else. You've seen the audio of you in that restaurant, right? With Katie.
Yes.
Before that audio started, had you...
It's not some, like, you know, deep African dialect. You know, I always pronounce it wrong, Your Honor. It's Agdadagwendel.
You met with Katie in the restaurant for about 20 or 30 minutes.
We've been in there about a half hour talking.
So that audio doesn't capture anything in the beginning of your conversation, right?
Yes.
Now, let's talk a little bit about the beginning of the conversation. Obviously, it's many years ago. You're not going to remember word for word what was said. But generally, what was Katie telling you, and what were you telling Katie?
Katie was saying that it's the police. And I didn't care if it was the police. I was there because it was a bad guy. So I'm trying to figure out, like, is my family really in danger, and what should we do? And if they are in danger, what should we do?
Did you know that law enforcement, at some point in the conversation, started to record you?
No, I thought we were alone.
Now, your conversation with Katie in the restaurant, how were you talking? Were you talking freely or carefully?
No, I always spoke to Katie carefully.
Why was it so important for you to talk carefully to Katie in this restaurant?
Whenever I spoke to Katie, I needed her help. So I never wanted her to feel like I was trying to set her up or set her friends up, and in that regard. So every time I said something or phrased something, I was always really careful in how I spoke to her.
And again, at this point in time, did you have any clue whatsoever that Katie was part of the extortion of you?
No, I did not think she was ever a part of it.
Now, the first thing that is caught on the recording is if they had any evidence, we would have already gone to the airport. Do you recall that?
Yes, I do.
what were you saying here, and what was it in context to of what had been said before?
Okay, directly before that, Katie was talking about it being the police and that she thinks it's the police. And I'm like, it's fine if it's the police. Like, we're innocent. They're not going to have any evidence. Like, if we had anything to do with this, I'd be going to the airport right now if what you're saying is that it's the police. Like, they're not going to have evidence to show that we did something that we didn't do.
Charlie, without getting into all the details that I did with Agent Sanford, this communication at Dolce Vita happened in 2016. You were arrested in 2022. When did you know that the state thought that you had participated in the murder of Professor Markel?
When the probable cause affidavit was released.
And when was that affidavit released approximately?
I think it was leaked to the media, and I saw it in August of 2016.
Did you ever try to flee the country
Never.
after August 2016?
Never.
Why not?
Because I wasn't part of a murder. They weren't going to have any evidence to show I was part of a murder.
Now, you say during Dolce Vita, one second, Your Honor, I'm sorry. Lost my spot. Is Dolce Vita a bit of an argument between you and Katie?
Yeah, you could say that.
And what is the argument about?
She's taking the position that it's the police and you can't pay the police. And I wasn't as focused on the police as I was focused on, well, if it's a bad guy, what do we do? Like, we can't go to the police.
Why were you not focused on it being the police?
Because I didn't do a murder. I wasn't worried if it was the police.
Now, if it was a bad guy, what did you want her to do? What did you want Katie to do?
I wanted her to reach out to them and see if she could get them to stop. You know, maybe threaten them. Maybe she could pay them. Maybe she could tell them she's going to pay them. It's a one-time thing. I want to see if she could identify them and get them to stop.
Why did you want her to do that as opposed to you doing that?
She knew who the original people were. She knew Sigfredo. She knew this guy, Luis Rivera. And she'd be the only person who'd be able to identify them and get them to stop, and maybe they'd be afraid of her.
Now, throughout this recording, several times you try to sound tough. Is that the case?
Absolutely.
You say, I carry a gun on me, right?
Yeah, yes, I said that.
I mean, someone comes up to me. If someone comes up to me, they better be ready to shoot because I'm going to shoot them. Someone come up to me asking for money in my house. When the fucking police show up and there's a doctor, there's an oral surgeon standing there with a dead gang member in his fucking driveway, they're not going to come down too hard on me. Take a break right there. Why are you talking tough?
I want to let her know, like, I've had enough. Like, and you know, they're messing with my mom. They mess with me. Like, I've literally just.
So you were talking tough at the same time as your reasoning for not saying things outright was like, look, I'm not talking about this because you said don't talk about it, so I'm not setting you up. And then the next thing out of your mouth is, if the fucking, you know, if the fucking police show up and there's a dead gang member and an oral surgeon, who do you think they're gonna believe? 0 cents. 0 cents. And he thought this was reasonable doubt.
Had enough, and I'm trying to send that message.
Why do you bring up a gang member?
Because 45 minutes earlier, when I was sitting in the car with Katie, she told me that Luis Rivera was the head of the Latin Kings. and that's who the second extortion was a Latin King gang member who was extorting my parents, which was actually the FBI, but it was.
Immediately after you say those lines, though, you say, and I'm not going to talk anyway. Why do you say that? You're being tough, and then you say, and I'm not going to talk anyway.
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
Because I didn't want to scare her into thinking that I'm some kind of loose end, that at any point was I going to the police. I was making it clear that at no point I was going to the police.
You then say, Katie, this is not like some chick showing tattoos to your man. What are you talking about here?
That was in reference to their explosive fight that would send her and Sigfredo in opposite directions, and I was thinking that he was behind what had happened to my mom. I thought he was just sending a third party to collect.
And what are you trying to tell Katie to do?
I'm telling her to call this person and to contact them and see if she can get them to stop.
Now I'm trying to answer the question naturally, but also remember what our predefined script said I should say. And what are you trying to get this person to do? I am trying to get them to stop.
Now, you then say, they're not going away. I may wish they'd go away, but they're not going away. And then there's a bunch of unintelligibles, and there's a line that says, that you say, well, with a beard or a badge. Do you have any idea what you were talking about there?
I think we were talking.
Beard or badge? I'd forgotten about that. We need to do something with that. I think that's the name of the feature film, right? Beard or badge. I started writing the script today, just for fun, and it was so cool. But I got to the title and I just put Adelson movie, and I'll come back to that later. But I think it should be called Beard or Badge. I don't know why I love that so much. I think it's beautiful. Beard or Badge.
About, is it a police officer or a bad guy?
And again, well, who would be the beard?
The beard would be a bad guy.
And who again was Katie trying to convince you it was?
She was trying to convince me it's the police.
Now, we've seen this conversation live, although we can't hear all of it. Are you doing more of the talking or more of the listening?
I'm doing the thinking out loud and talking.
You're not really listening to her at all.
I love to talk. Charlie talks a lot, right?
You again say, listen, if a badge comes up to you, tell them, have a nice day, officer. And she says, yeah, no, perfect. You say, if not, I don't talk to cops. Sorry. And she says, yeah, no, perfect. What are you saying to Katie here?
I'm reassuring her that I'm keeping my mouth shut and I'm not going to the police and I'm not trying to set her up. But I wanted her to see if maybe make a payment.
Now, you say this person is not, this is after her long unintelligible. You say, well, Katie, this person is not going away. They came very equipped with details. What details are you talking about here?
They know about my payment to her with the checks. They know about the payment.
You then go on a bunch of long discussions about DNA in a rental car. Why do you bring up a rental car?
Because 40 minutes earlier, I was sitting in a car with her, and she was telling me that Luis Rivera rented a car.
And during these long discussions, you're talking about how you don't really know anything. You, Charlie, doesn't really know anything. Why are you telling her repeatedly that you don't know anything?
I'm trying to reassure her that I'm harmless and that I don't have any real knowledge of what went on, and that, you know, I'm not some loose end that you guys need to go try to clean up.
Now, you then say, they said the guy's name was Tuto. I don't even know who the fuck it is. Did you know who Tuto was?
I knew who Tuto was.
Was this you confusing the names Tuto and Tato?
That's exactly what it was. I was getting the names mixed up.
And she asks you to describe what he looked like, right?
Yes.
And you say, some of it's unintelligible, but you say, well-spoken, like polite. She goes, polite and well-spoken. I said, did he act thug, or did he have talk with like a thick Spanish accent or anything? She said no. I said, was he white or Hispanic? She said he was white, but he could have been Hispanic. Why were these facts important to you and Katie?
Because I was comparing the original extortion that I had to the person that's extorting my mom to see if they fit the description.
And she says, so recognizable, and you say with no glasses, no hat, very well dressed. And she says, well dressed? As you're talking about this, what are the both of you trying to figure out?
We're trying to figure out, is this related to, is this real extortion, or is this the police?
And what is Katie telling you of why she doesn't think this is real extortion and why she thinks it's the police?
Because of how it's being done, and these people wouldn't do it this way. But it still opened up the door to her where she said it could be a copycat and somebody just trying to piggyback the extortion and make it their own.
Now, you say to her, every time she's telling you it's the police, you kind of push back. Why do you push back?
The whole purpose of me being there with her was not to hear if it was the police. I needed her help if it wasn't the police.
10 minutes and 28 seconds into the recording. Not the meeting, but the recording.
If you would like to support Beard or Badge, you know, it can't be that difficult. We're going to Germany this weekend to see Derek, who wrote, well, he produced the theme tune, and I'll give him the writing credit. I was just humming something, and he made a whole nice thing. Of course, he wrote it. He's a genius, but he's also married to another genius, the wonderful Anne, an actor, a real actor, who probably knows other real actors. We can make this happen. We can get this done. But we need your support. Support Beard or Badge on buymeacoffee.com. We've got the script on the way to being in the bag. Then we just need to get those actors. You know, I don't think we need to do a fucking $100 million production. We can do this totally guerrilla style. You know, I was talking to Jury today, who's in South Beach at the moment, just on a little breakaway from Colorado. And she said, oh, I'm just in Dolce Vita. And I said, oh, that's cool. And I said, too bad I'm not in Miami, because we could meet up and act out the Charlie Katie conversation. And then I thought, why the hell not? That would be great. We could have someone sitting where the undercover agent was, filming it. And it wouldn't need to be good quality, like good mics and everything, because you don't want that. It's supposed to be bad quality. We could do that so cheaply. I think it'd be great. Just act out all the scenes. I'm definitely renting a Prius from Miami to drive to Tallahassee. You know, a silver pine mica Prius. I'm staying in the Roadway Inn. That's R-O-D-E, way, Inn. In Tallahassee. Actually, no, I want to stay at the Hilton because it's so close to the courthouse. And it's not Hilton, it's a Hilton Doubletree. But it does look very nice. And it's just a stone's throw away from the courthouse. But, you know, every single location I can find or that still exists, I'm going to and acting out whatever Adelson scene what took place there. But you can support Beard or Badge on buymeacoffee.com/True Crime Metrix. Thank you so much, guys. Oh, shit. Fuck. Oh, no. Gone all the way back. Where were we?
The office that she was working at.
Okay.
I have
Do you
no
recall
idea.
that?
Yes, I do.
What were you saying here, and what was it in context to of what had been said before?
Okay, directly before that, Katie was.
I've
When the
lost
fucking
place.
police show up and they're
Oh, yeah. This should
Now-
be near enough. Hey, thanks so much, Pinto, for that super sticker. Awesome. Thank you, Pinto.
You then say they said the guy's name was Tuto. I don't even know who the fuck it is. Did you know who Tuto was?
I knew who Tuto was.
Was this you confusing the names Tuto and Tato?
I
That's
would miss
exactly
seeing
what it
this.
was. I was getting.
Skipping.
That they don't. These people only know part of the story. Or they think they know part of the story. What are you telling Katie here?
I'm saying they didn't mention my name. They don't even know I was extorted, and that they only know part of the story. They know about the checks that my mom was writing to you, or they think they know part of the story. They don't realize that that was payment for an extortion, not payment for a murder.
So whoever's doing this thinks that you did a murder because they don't know that you were extorted.
Exactly.
And by the way, isn't that exactly what the bump is?
The bump is an extortion.
But isn't the bump designed in a way that they thought you did part of a murder, and the responses they got, they didn't understand because they only knew part of the story?
That's exactly it.
You then say, when everybody was there the next day, did you take any money? It's not like you're driving around in a Bentley, cruising around in a mega yacht. Someone, he must at some point, because otherwise he would have no idea I had anything to do with. First of all, remind the jury, how did you know what happened on July 19th, and when did you learn that?
In July 19th, July 18th.
How did you know about the money drop? Let me ask that question.
Okay. Katie told me that the next day she brought the money to Luis and Sigfredo Garcia.
When did she tell you that?
She told me that in the car 30 minutes earlier.
Now, when you're asking this question, who is the everybody that you are referring to?
Sigfredo Garcia and Luis Rivera.
What are you confirming here, and why?
That she's not a part of it. I mean, she's broke. I was being sarcastic when I'm like, you're not cruising around in a mega yacht or driving a Bentley. Like, her card's getting declined at Old Navy, and she's borrowing $300 from me. So I didn't think she was a part of it. I didn't think at the time that she took any of that money. So that's why I said it like that, is that you didn't take any of the money next day, and they're saying that, like, I'm helping you out. So I'm thinking that, like, Sigfredo must have said something to Luis about the little things that I do to help you out with, lending you money. I gave her a car with 160,000 miles on it. Sigfredo must have said something to Luis, and then maybe one of his people is now trying to extort my family.
And in response, what does she say to you? Who does she say it is?
She thinks it's the police.
And so then you say to her,
yeah, she was right.
It could. I wish that it was a cop playing games. Why did you wish it was a cop playing games?
Because then it meant that my mom wasn't being extorted by Latin King gang members.
You say, and I'm not involved. Recall saying that?
Yeah.
Why didn't you specifically mention the word extortion in Dolce Vita? Why didn't you?
If you are the immediate family members of the woman whose ex-husband was murdered, and no one has found the killer for 2 years. It's just an unsolved murder. And you find out that the cops are, as he says, playing games, investigating you to quite a significant extent. I mean, it would be if they just came to your house and said, listen, we'd like to talk to you. Could you come in and have an interview with us on the record? That would be bad enough. But if there's an undercover operation, I mean, any moron knows that kind of shit costs money, a lot of money. That was a huge operation. There were I forget how many, but a staggering amount of people were involved with that, just the bump, right? There were cops everywhere, vans of FBI, audio people, video people. Didn't they say that they had a high altitude plane or something? What the huge operation. I'd love to know what the bill to the taxpayer was just for the bump alone, never mind the wider investigation as a whole, but it was a huge cost. So if you're the immediate family members of the woman whose ex was murdered and that went unsolved for 2 years, and then you catch wind that the FBI have done this very costly thing looking into you in an undercover, covert way, are you going to refer to it as, I hope it is some cop playing games, if you're innocent? I mean, you would say, holy shit, they must really think it was us. I tell you what, let's call up our attorney and have them arrange, have them find out what's going on from their side, and if we need to come in and explain anything, we'll do that with our attorney. But whatever's going on, let's get this dealt with. That would be what you would do. Anything other than that is a very guilty reaction, right?
You say, Katie, why are these the same people that did to me? These are the same people that are doing this to my mom that did it to me back in July of 2014. Why didn't you just say that in this recording?
I was being real careful when I spoke to Katie. I would never say the word extortion to her.
Why not?
Because I would get zero help, and she'd think I was setting her up.
And what were you
Probably
most
killed.
concerned about at this point in time?
I was most concerned about the gang member that's now extorting my mom, and also about trying to get Katie to help me to stop it.
Again, you say, if it's a cop, I'm happy because I've got nothing to hide. You say that at least 3 times. Why do you tell her that?
Because she keeps on saying that it's the police. And I'm not worried about if it's the police. I'm worried about if it's a gang member and that's coming after my mom.
And as she's pushing back that she doesn't want to make the payment or reach out to the person, you then bring up it's going to put a spotlight in the investigation. You start talking about the FBI and BBC News. First of all, what investigation are you talking about?
The murder investigations of Dan Markel.
And why are you trying to tell Katie that this is going to put a spotlight on this investigation? What are you why are you trying to tell her that?
I'm trying to tell her that this is a big deal. Like if we go to the police on the second extortion, they're going to catch the second extortion, and when they catch them, they're going to turn, and second extortion is going to turn in the first extortion, and then when you catch the first extortion, the police are going to come talk to us, and then when we tell them what happened, you're going to be in a lot of danger. There's no way I can talk to the police. So by catching the second, it's going to turn in the first, and that's exactly what I say in there.
Now, you tell her that you want her to give the guy the money, right?
Yes.
And she, again, what's her reaction to that?
She's like, you can't pay the cops. They're going to arrest you. They're going to think you're a part of it.
And so then you give a long-winded explanation of what she can say that won't incriminate herself, right?
Or make the police come talk to her. So I was saying, just tell them that you don't know anything.
Again, what are you trying to convince her to do?
Make a payment.
And she's refusing, right?
Yeah.
You say, that's all I was able to come up with. If it's the police, they can't take the money. They can't take the money. They won't even come meet you. If it's this guy, maybe in the back of he knows, unintelligible, fuck off, unintelligible, and that now he's fucking with his wife, and if he's fucking with him, you fuck with the king himself, you'd better kill him because he's going to be a big problem. What are you trying to say to her here?
I'm saying that maybe if you go and contact these people, they're going to know who you are. And they're going to realize, they'll know that your husband is Sigfredo Garcia. Sigfredo is about as scary of a guy as you can meet. And if Sigfredo has a problem with you, the only thing you could do to stop Sigfredo if he wants to come after you is to kill Sigfredo. So I wasn't talking about killing him, but I was saying if he knows who you are, he's going to be a big problem. So the only way they could stop Sigfredo is if they killed him, because he's a dangerous guy.
Yeah, I wasn't talking about killing him. I just said we need to kill him. And that's the only way to stop him. I mean, so I didn't mean kill. I meant stop. But the only way to stop was to kill. So, reasonable doubt. Can I go free? My mother booked me a hotel and packed me a bag so that I could go and have a nice hotel. Maybe a couple of Taiwanese massage therapists.
And is that precisely why you wanted her to be contacting this person?
Yeah, because they would know who her husband is. And they would cut it out.
You then say, and so help me God, if they fuck with my family, it's going to be like that Nazi shit because this will be done. Who used that terminology with you?
That was an expression that Katie would use. She would say like this Nazi shit, like to go crazy on somebody. And that was a term that she would use, and I used it back to her. And it just meant, I was saying like, listen, like I'm trying to sound tough also. So I said, listen.
I can't even imagine Katie saying Nazi shit. I can't even hear it in my head. And we know the Adelsons are fixated on Nazis. So, you know, it's just not in Katie's context. You know, when we hear her talk tough on the phone, fucking A, bro. I'm gonna fuck up whoever the fuck is fucking with me. She doesn't say, I'm gonna fucking do Nazi shit on whoever the fuck is fucking with me. And I just, you know, sometimes you just know these things because you can't imagine them. And I can't imagine it. Is that proof? It's proof enough for me to have the opinion I hold. Hey, thanks again, Victoria Girl, for that fabulous beard or moustache. Super chat, thank you so much.
I'm going to get somebody to go crazy on this person and get them to stop. Like, this needs to end.
You say, I don't care what I have to spend. Ms. Kappelman asked one of the witnesses, aren't you admitting to doing a murder for hire here?
Absolutely not. I'm saying that I'll get somebody to act and go crazy on who's ever doing this and get them to stop. I mean, I'm not a scary guy like Sigfredo Garcia is. So
yeah, we got that much. What is this go crazy on them? What does that mean, Charlie? If it's not something extremely violent, if not death. I mean, you're gonna get them to go up and what? Knock their front door wearing nothing but Walter White underwear? You know? Have a fugue state? Take your pants off in Home Depot? What is this? Oh, I'm going to get someone to go crazy. Somebody's going to go crazy, but it's not violent. They're just going to go crazy.
I was trying to sound intimidating.
You then say, he doesn't have any bad feelings towards me, does he? Our paths never crossed. I didn't know that the two of you would be working out.
Our paths never crossed. So, is that what you would say if he quite literally crossed your path to the point of blocking your path and you had to do a 3-point turn escape towing a jet ski? I mean, that is literally crossing. The story is he crossed our path and blocked it. Our paths never crossed. He just crossed mine and got in the way and beat his chest like an angry gorilla. I mean, okay, jokes aside, if that kind of incident had happened, I'm thinking back to some incident in my own life. Would I say our paths never crossed, if indeed our paths did cross, in a way like that? No, I wouldn't say that. I might say, we've never even spoken. I've only seen him that one time when he blocked our path. I need to do more digging on it, but I just don't feel like that thing with Sigfredo Garcia blocking Charlie with the jet ski. It just doesn't seem real to me. But I also don't feel like I have enough to offer to really put that opinion on solid ground. But we might go and do some digging.
Why do you ask this?
Because I'm saying, like, I've been compliant. I've been paying every single month. It's not like I didn't do anything to him. I was still thinking maybe it could be him that's doing this, as I was saying it.
Now, in the video, you see Katie leaving the table for a bit, right?
Yes.
She leaves for about 2 minutes. And what happens when she leaves, before she comes back?
It's probably the first 2 minutes in the last 45 or 50 minutes that I stopped talking and just sat there and started thinking about everything that we've been talking about.
And as you're sitting there and thinking about it, what goes through your mind? What do you realize?
I just started thinking again about how different this is, and that the person's not hiding who they are. You know, there's no I'm going to kill you in 48 hours. They're giving lots of information. You know, this is not the same people.
When she comes back, you give her the number, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember if you gave her a piece of paper, or if she do you have any recollection of whether you gave her a piece of paper or she wrote down a number, or whether you do you have any idea, any memory this many years later?
No, I think I may have just said it to her verbally or given her paper. I don't remember sitting here today.
Okay. And then you immediately start talking about how the guy didn't have glasses or a hat. Why was that the first thing that you started talking to her?
What did I solve, Pariah? I'm just catching up with the messages. What did I solve? I don't know. But to answer your question just before, do you think Katie and Sigfredo would have eventually killed Charlie? No, not at all. And I don't think that Charlie would have killed Katie. Someone said that the other day, and I was like, no, what? Why? This was just, you know, I think Charlie would have been happy for Sigfredo to kill the bump guy if it had been a Latin king brother of Tato. Excuse me. But no, I don't think Sigfredo and Katie killing Charlie, no. Charlie killing Katie, no. No. Oh, their paths never crossed. Yeah, well, that sentence is an indicator that that thing with the jet skis never happened, isn't it? That's a piece of evidence that on its own might not be enough, but it's certainly when you put it with a bag of other pieces of evidence. And timing is very important as well, you know. When was it first said that that event happened? I'm trying to think if I can... Had we ever heard of that before Charlie's trial? I don't think so. Why would it have come up in Katie's second trial? Could it have come up in Sigfredo's trial? I don't think so, but possibly, I'm not sure. Because you know, the record of when facts are first mentioned, or not facts, but when claims are first mentioned is very important. The invitation that Wendy produced for the bride and groom thing, the, what do you call it, Stock the Bar party, that was only mentioned in court in Charlie's trial. Now, if you go back to Wendy's interrogation / interview, she alludes to it there. She says something about having an email on her computer with some invitation on it. We don't know if it's the same thing or not, but you know, it wasn't brought up in as a piece of evidence in Sigfredo Katie or Katie 2. It wasn't until Charlie Adelson's that we really heard anything about that in detail. And certainly actually seeing the supposed copy of it. My point is that false facts often are only invented when they're needed, right? So if you hear something that's said late in the game and there's not an earlier occurrence when that fact was just a fact and wasn't something that was needed or had to be invented, you know, it's an indication that it's not a fact and it's just been created when it's convenient for it to be used to prove something or disprove something.
About when she came back.
Because I was thinking, like, for 2 years, I had no idea. You know, nothing was confirmed and the identity was hidden. It was just her friend. Now, all of a sudden, this guy shows up and he's not even taking the precaution of trying to hide his identity. He has no problem showing his face.
And at this point in time, when she comes back, who do you think is behind this?
I'm coming around to her way of thinking that it's probably the police and a small chance that it's some sort of copycat, but more than likely it's just the police. It's the police.
What do you ask her to do?
I still ask her to call the number just in the chance that, like, hey, if I'm wrong and it's not the police and it turns out to be somebody that really is dangerous, like I'm betting my mom's life on it being the police. So at least just call and make it so for that peace of mind that we confirm it is what we think it is.
At the end of the recording, you see that you're actually joking about something.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel at the end of your meeting with her in Dolce Vita?
I feel much better. I mean, I'm back to the way I started when I came out there, is that I was thinking it was probably the police, and I felt even more likely it was the police after I got done with meeting with her.
Now, when you repeatedly say during this recording that you hope it's the police, did you understand that if it was the police, they thought they would be thinking that you were part of a murder?
Correct.
So why were you hoping it was the police?
Well, I wasn't part of a murder, and if it was the police, it meant there was no danger. Nobody's going to get hurt, and there's no danger to anyone in my family.
Judge, I'm going to move on to another topic.
Before you do that, members of the jury, does anyone need to take a break? Please raise your hand. We will take a brief break. For the next 10 minutes, we'll resume a little bit after 3:30.
Look at Judge Everett. Wow. Wow. Check that out. It's like the fucking Rio de Janeiro Jesus statue. The big statue in Rio. Let's bring up a picture of that. Fuck off. It's exactly the same pose. They're both in robes. If we put Judge Everett on a giant plinth, I mean, check that out. That is exactly... Wow. Oh, I just need to screenshot these two images together. Hang on. Wow. It's just something about the posture. There's nothing that's wrong about it, right? There's nothing that's wrong about it. Okay, the palms aren't open. If Judge Everett had his palms open, that would be a little bit better. I don't know if it's called a plinth. I mean, I think a plinth is just anything that you put something on. Isn't it? Let's look up the definition. What is a plinth? A heavy base supporting a statue or vase. Okay, I guess that qualifies. It's a plinth. Okay, so I need to find the other... what day are we? Day 6. Let me just check how much left is of day 6. How much of day 6 is left? Charlie. Let's see how our touch typing's going. The trick is not to look at the keys. All right, let's see if we can find. We need to find Judge Everett. I just need to change the. All right, good night, Judge.
Where she wanted you to have dinner. How far is Jupiter from Miami?
I would say with no traffic.
Right, where is it now? God damn these 9-hour videos.
So Mr. Rashbaum, you may continue with your examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. You were part of a murder.
All right.
Yeah.
30.
I love that that's how we find where we were. Look for the judge doing yoga. Alright, so realistically, how long is left? And is this a good place to cut it off? Maybe it is. We're almost at 3 hours.
Mr. Rush.
So 7:11. God, there's still fucking 2 hours left. Oh my God. What time is it in Eastern? Almost 12. Well, let's
Baum,
see.
you may continue with your examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Judge, at this time, I would like to move in Defendant's Exhibit 58, which are selected text messages on July 18th that we discussed earlier.
Very well. Any objection from the state other than what's already been made?
No, Your Honor.
Admitted over objection. You may proceed with publishing.
I don't need to publish, Judge. Thank you, though, Your Honor.
Very well.
Do you remember what you did when you left Dolce Vita?
Yes, I do.
And what did you do?
I got in the car and I called my mom up on the phone.
Where was your mom when you called her?
I think she was at the city park.
Now, throughout this call, you don't mention Katie's name. Why don't you mention her name?
I think I was just always just being careful. But, I mean, there was no big deal. My mom knew that I was going to go meet Katie.
Well, not that careful. You know, you've just spent an hour in a fucking restaurant loudly ordering murder. You better kill him because he's going to be a big problem.
And I just spoke in general terms.
General murder
You
terms.
tell your mom that everything is fine. What are you telling your mom when you tell her that?
I'm letting her know that it's the police, because that's how I left it when I left my meeting with my mom before I went crazy and I heard all about Luis Rivera. I'm letting my mom know, like, everything's fine, it's the police.
At the end of this call, there's discussion about cheerleading and Passover. What is your level of concern when you have this call with your mom?
I believe that there is no danger to my family at this time. We're very minimal.
Now, do you recall
Is Passover when they kill a goat or something?
that the call got cut off? Well, let me say it differently. Withdraw the question, Your Honor. Do you recall that your mom, on the end of this call, had to call you back?
Yes.
And do you recall that about 5 minutes later, she did call you back?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Judge, at this point in time, I'd like to play government exhibit, state exhibit G.
You may proceed.
And this is a call between you and your mom at 5:06 on April 20th. I don't hear anything.
Test your equipment again.
I didn't do it. Let's try it again.
Yeah. Hi, honey. Sorry about that. I had to just schedule
Nothing in the headphones now.
I think it's clear on the speakers, but I guess play it once again. Hold your thumbs up if you can hear it clearly over the speaker.
Yeah. Hi, honey. Sorry about that. I had to just schedule it for Monday because she was leaving.
Yeah,
So-
everything's
How about on the speakers? I know you can't hear it on the headphones.
You just want it to be a little bit louder on the speaker, you're saying? I'm not Bill Nye the Science Guy. I'm not sure why we can't get this to work from call to call, but
He's just so jolly, isn't he? He'd make a great Santa Claus at the mall. Judge Everett.
No. Let's see if everyone can hear it without the headphones.
can you turn up the speaker?
It's at max capacity.
Oh, okay.
Which is lower than my voice, as we all know.
Except for when you're excited.
Exactly.
good. I just so I hung out with my friend, and then she's gonna sleep on some stuff, and then she's gonna come tomorrow to either my office or Thanos' office and tell me how it works. How she thought about it. So I'm still. So I'll talk to her tomorrow. I wish her the best of luck.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So you think she'll be okay? You think everything will be good for her?
I told her. I mean, like I was explaining to you, with relationships, they either go one of two ways. Like it's,
Right.
So it's going to be one of two ways. So,
Yeah. Well,
But that's-
hopefully it's how you want it.
yeah.
How it would be best for her. Yes, honey, you can. All right, Charlie. I love you,
What
doll.
are they? Yeah, you're welcome. So I
Yeah, just hoping Dad has a good day at the office.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I like him to have a good night's sleep. So
Yeah.
he works on a long day. Wednesday's a long day.
I truly would not worry about anything.
Wait a second, Lincoln, honey. This little girl is on now. Come here, honey.
He's pleading with his mother. Yeah, I truly would not. Wendy does that as well, right? Wendy does that all the time. And it's not a request. Right? Example. It's all through the fucking interview. Any part of the plan that Wendy needs to get across the line, right? Lynn Grossman is a really, really close with the boys, you know. This real push where if you deny it, you're an asshole, you know? It's pretty basic, but you know, it's a signature of the Adelsons, clearly. Charlie's doing it here. I really wouldn't worry about it, you know, this need, this like, you know, this hope. Wendy's not so much a hope. Wendy's like, this is what's happening. She does it all the way through. I'd like to do a collection of all of those things where she pushes like that. They're really close with the boys. Fucking poor old General Isom's just like, okay, well, looks like that's what we got to do then.
Okay, so she finishes and then you'll go on. You don't think so?
Yeah, no, without a doubt, I wouldn't.
Okay, I hope so.
There's nothing to worry about.
No.
No.
So you'll be up at the office, you'll be at our office all day tomorrow?
From 11 to probably by 3, I'm going to be gone.
Oh, really? I'm done for the day?
Well, then I go to Thanos' office.
Oh, there's Dana. Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right.
I hate this area of like Ives Dairy and 95.
Very crowded.
Oh my God, the traffic.
Yeah, look, Pinto's got a great idea to get 100% thumbs up. Just take a second, guys. Go and click that like button. That would be great because it really does help the algorithm, you know. You're all here. We're watching this together. Just click that thumb and let's see what happens. Maybe we get a prize. Maybe we get one of those big, stupid play buttons from YouTube.
So, to go from like, I mean, literally, for me to go from like, you know, on Biscayne to like, all the way to like 95, it's the same amount of time it takes me to go from my house to South Beach.
Wow.
Just east-west. It's quicker for me to go to South Beach from Fort Lauderdale than to be in Miami and go to the highway. I mean, it's 2 lanes, like 2 schools and everything. So, all right.
That's the, they're swinging. And that's the, I'm pushing as high as I can, and that's the squeak.
Don't talk to Charlie Adelson about swinging.
Of the swings.
All right.
So I'm pushing them. The old grandma. All right, I love you.
Yeah, you probably feel, but I would worry about absolutely nothing.
Really?
It's all right, Donna. You're getting your cardio in. You're getting your cardio. Wendy's out there getting her cardio in as well, but in a very different way. With Julio the pool boy. A lot of cardio going on there.
I'm telling you, I would not.
While you look after her children, like you have been doing for the past 2 years since she came down to Miami.
Theory is correct, and that'll be, you know, we don't know that.
Well, listen, I mean, it you have to realize something. It does them no good.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, there's nothing. They're not going to gain anything. They're still going to be in the same situation. It's not like you've ever threatened anybody or hurt anybody. So
no, I know that.
You know, and listen, the thing is that they're not hiding who they are.
Right, not at all.
Not at all. So.
When you call your mom back, there's a reference to Harvey. Harvey's your dad, right?
Yes.
There's a reference to hoping, your mom says she hopes Harvey had a good day at the office. She'd like him to have a good night's sleep. What did you understand this to be a reference to?
Oh, my dad's about to find out what had happened to me 2 years earlier and what's happening to my mom now.
You're telling your mom repeatedly in this call that not to worry about anything. Why are you telling her not to worry about anything?
Because my mom was worried that a gang member was going to come and hurt her. where somebody was trying to extort her for money.
Now, you then say, not like you ever threatened anyone or hurt anyone, and you say, she says to you, well, if your theory is correct, what was your theory? Well, first of all, when did you go over your theories with each other?
When I saw my mom 2 hours before this call was placed.
And what was your theory and what was her theory?
My theory was that it's the police. My mom's theory was that it's a bad guy and they're going to hurt one.
This whole thing about Daniel Rashbaum talking like this for the sake of the jury, right? The Tallahassee jury. Dan made it for a 3rd grade level. He should have made it for a 1 grade level. Don't you think it's the tiniest bit insulting? I mean, he's talking as if he's talking to someone with Down syndrome, or perhaps talking to someone that's, you know, had a terrible head trauma brain injury after a car accident and has lost their memory, and he's doing one of those tests like, and can you point to the triangle? You know.
And then somebody else in the family is going to pay the money. And that this was a serious threat and her life's in danger.
You then start talking about, again, how there were no threats, no disguise. Why are you telling this to your mom?
I'm telling my mom that this is so different. It can't be the same person. It can't be the same people that are behind my extortion that are behind her extortion.
Moving on to State Exhibit H. Now, State Exhibit H is a call that's in evidence between Sigfredo Garcia and Katie Magbanawa. Do you recall listening to that call?
Yes, I do.
Now, you obviously weren't on the call initially, right?
I was never on that call.
On the call, you can hear them fighting, and Sigfredo is refusing to make the phone call, right?
Yes.
Again, what had you discussed with Katie at Dolce Vita? What were you hoping that she would do?
That she would at least make the phone call, even though we were pretty sure it was the police. I mean, there's still a chance that you're wrong, and this is a copycat who doesn't realize that I was extorted, and they're running their own extortion off of it and chasing down my mom.
The next day is now April 21st. And the state put in State's Exhibit J. And this is a 22-minute call between you and Catherine Magbanawa. Do you recall that?
Yes, I do.
Was this the first time that you spoke with Katie after your meeting at Dolce Vita?
Yes, it is.
On this call, are you asking to meet with her?
Yes, I want to see her.
And how is she responding to meeting with you?
She's blowing me off. I'm trying to have her come to my office. I'm trying to have her come to the second office I'm at. She can't find it in her time to come meet me.
And when she seems that way, are you offering to pay for some things for her, like helping her get a hotel room and the keys?
Yeah, and that was actually even before the bump. She had asked me for something, and I said, sure, I'll do it for you. And it was a $300 hotel room. But that was before the bump. But yes.
Now, during this call, Katie starts talking about investments in properties. Do you remember that?
I do.
When she starts talking about the investments in the properties, at first, do you have any idea what she's talking about?
I have no clue what she's talking about.
So in this trial, there's been a lot of talk about code. And the government has a nice little cheat sheet as to what they believe the various code words were. Did you and Katie ever discuss any code words?
There was never any code discussed.
But it's fair to say that when you're speaking on the phone with Katie and when you're speaking on the phone with your mom, you're talking very carefully.
Extremely carefully.
And for different reasons, right?
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about why you're talking carefully with Katie. What was the reason why you continued to talk very carefully on the phone with Katie?
I didn't want Katie to think that I was setting her up.
Now, when you say you didn't want her to think that you were setting her up, at this point in time, you didn't think.
As it's Friday the 13th, or just gone now in the Eastern. But yeah, I was thinking about the Last Supper picture the other day, and where has it gone? Oh, there it is. So if we recreated the Last Supper with all characters from the Adelsons, was it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, yeah. I mean, who would be who? Who would be Judas? Luis Rivera, I suppose, right? And who would be Jesus? Dan Markel. It would be great. We should totally do it. Well, happy Friday 13th anyway. Enjoy your Last Supper.
She was part of any murder or any extortion, right?
Correct.
So how would you be setting her up?
Well, she's tied to the people who murdered Dan Markel, and I'm tied to her. So if I went to the police, I would be calling her up and trying to get them caught, and I'd be talking in a much more blunt way.
And what are you afraid of if she thinks that you're setting her up?
Georgia would be Jesus. I like that, yeah.
There's probably a couple things you're afraid of, but what?
I don't know, though, because they said Jesus was, what is he? The king of the Jews? I don't know. You have to be careful with this stuff, don't you?
What are some of those things that you're afraid of?
Well, the number one thing is I'd get killed because they think I'm a loose end.
Okay, what's the number two thing?
Number two thing is I'd get zero help. She would help me with nothing.
And help in finding out what?
Who's behind the second extortion of my mom?
Now, ultimately, during this call, you figure out what she's talking about with properties, right?
As she goes, I'm catching on to some of her lingo.
She says to you, I was talking to someone, do you think that would be a good investment? He was like, no, that is a really stupid, you should really use your head. What did you understand her to be saying? Who is the he?
Well, by this time she was back with her ex-husband, and I assumed that person to be Sigfredo Garcia.
Did you assume her to be saying to you, he doesn't want to make the phone call at this point?
No.
Now, she says, but he is going to look into a couple things, a couple of properties, and find out what's going on, and then I'll go from there because you can't just jump into a place you don't even know. What did you understand her to be telling you here?
She was saying that she's going to look into it. You just can't pay extortion. You don't even know who the person is.
She then says later in the call that she thinks that the property was posted incorrectly. She also says that she thinks it's a false lead.
Mm-hmm.
What did you understand her to be saying to you at that point in time?
She's trying to tell me that this is the police. This is not real extortion, and that's pretty much what she was saying. Exactly what she was saying the day before.
She says it's one of two scenarios. That's what I'm trying to figure out right now. What did you understand her to be saying were the two scenarios?
Well, the first one is the police, where she's like, you can't pay the police. And the second one would have been a copycat extorter, but not being possibly Luis Rivera or Sigfredo Garcia.
In response, you say, the thing is, that property
You can pay the police, you just need the right cop. Where is that cop? They'd have just loved that. We just need to pay the police. Leave us alone. Pretend it wasn't us.
came with full listing, everything but pictures. What are you saying here?
I'm saying that this extortion came with so much information. And that was the thing with the first extortion on July 18th, is that I had no information. Even when I guessed, the person wouldn't say, she just said, no, I'm not going to tell you.
And so the fact that it came with everything but the pictures, what did that make you feel it was?
That it was more than likely law enforcement. I mean, they were giving you phone numbers, they were giving you names, they weren't trying to hide who they were. It had to be, it more than likely was law enforcement, but it's still a small chance it could have been a copycat extorter.
15 minutes and 45 seconds in this call. She says, I did some research. I will find out more. I don't want anyone to take advantage of you. How was she acting?
Like she was protecting me. And she was trying to help.
And incidentally, what did you think she was doing for you for the past 20 months since the extortion that occurred on July 18th?
I thought she was protecting me.
You then start talking with her about other types of real estate. Was this real estate at this point?
There was some real talk about real estate because she was working in a real estate company.
And you tell her that you'll lend her money for her real estate career?
Yeah, she'd once asked me if she ever found a good place, would I lend the money and go in a partnership with her. And I always said if you found the right deal, I would. But we never spoke any specifics beyond that.
And you talked to her about helping her out with her car?
Yeah.
Why were you offering to help Catherine Magbanua out with her real estate career and her car, and saying that at this point in time?
I didn't think that she was benefiting from the extortion of me at all. She always told me she never took any money. Her credit cards were getting declined at Old Navy. She's borrowing money. I thought that she got dragged into this in the same way I got dragged into this.
Now the next call that's in evidence is K. And this is April 21 at, I believe, 11 o'clock a.m. One moment, Your Honor.
Take your time.
This is a call between you and your mom, correct?
Yes.
And this is the first call since the call that we just heard where your mom is swinging the boys at the park, right?
Right.
Now, there's a discussion on this call about meeting with your dad. Why were you going to meet with your dad?
Well, I knew the night of the 20th, my mom was going to tell my dad what had happened to me and what's happening to her now. And I knew my dad was going to want to talk to me and find out what's going on. So I told my mom, listen, I'll talk to Dad when he wants to talk to me tomorrow. Just have him meet me.
50 seconds into this call, which again, I don't think we need to play it, is K. You say, I saw a lot of police everywhere giving traffic tickets, so be careful. Anyway, that's who I think it is for multiple reasons. Multiple reasons. What are you telling your mom here?
I'm telling my mom, be careful where you talk.
More sales tactics. That's what I think it is for multiple reasons. Multiple reasons. You know it's multiple when you say multiple times, right? Then it's really multiple. I'm surprised he didn't say fluctuating. Yes, this situation, it fluctuated. There's multiple reasons.
Talk about this. I don't want the police to know that I know anything or that I was extorted. They're going to come talk to you. So please be careful and be careful where you talk.
And when your mom responds, again on the earlier call, well, that's good if your theory is correct. What do you understand your mom to be hoping for?
My mom was hoping it was the police.
Now, after this call, you have a call with your dad, and where do you all decide to meet for dinner?
I was originally going to just have my dad come by my house, but I was working late, and I told my dad I'll meet him at like a halfway point between my place and his place, and I met him for sushi down in Miami.
And let's talk about Matsuri.
Okay.
Did you go to the restaurant straight from work?
Yes, I did.
Who got there first?
I think my dad was there before me.
When you got there, could you all get a table right away?
No, it was not at night, but the place was packed.
Where did you go when you couldn't get a table?
We waited for about 15 minutes and told the person seating people that we'll just take a seat at the bar. Take 2 seats at the bar if you can.
Before you got seats at the bar, did you go anywhere to talk with your dad?
Yeah, we put our name down and we were just sitting outside the restaurant on a bench.
Did you notice anyone around you?
No.
Did we just catch Charlie Adelson trying to avoid representing himself as high society? There was a little pause just before he said, "We waited for the person." Was he going to say Maitre d'? And then thought, "Oh shit, they probably don't even know what that is in Tallahassee." The person who was seating people. We waited for the chair pointing man to point at the chairs that we would sit in. Dan made it for a 3rd grade level. He should have made it for a 1 grade level. Let's just hear that again. I think we caught another one.
Multiple reasons. What are you telling your mom here?
I'm telling my mom, be careful.
And where do you all decide to meet for dinner? Who got there first?
I think my dad was there before me.
When you got there, could you all get a table right away?
No, it was not at night, but the place was packed.
Where did you go when you couldn't get a table?
We waited for about 15 minutes and told the person seating people, that we'll just take a seat at the bar. Take 2 seats at the bar if you can.
Before you
Everyone else agree that he was going to say maitre d', and then thought, oh, they're not going to understand that, and it's going to make me look like a snob. You know? When people say they're going out to eat in Tallahassee, they mean they're going to go to Tallahassee food trucks, get a fucking foil tray of chili and eat it in their car. I can't say maitre d'. No, we waited for the chair pointing man to point where we should sit.
got seats at the bar, did you go anywhere to talk with your dad?
Yeah, we put our name down and we were just sitting outside the restaurant on a bench.
Did you notice anyone around you?
No.
As a result, were you
How many benches are there in Miami? I mean, he met up with Donna, they sat at a bench. He met up with Harvey, they sat on a bench.
able to talk freely?
Yeah.
Without going into the whole discussion again, what did you discuss generally with your dad?
I told him what had happened to me, and I told him that I thought it was the police that were doing this to Mom, and that this is just so different.
Now, was it clear to you when you met with your dad in the outside of the restaurant that your mom had told him everything by that point in time?
She told him everything.
Was it clear that he knew that this was related to Catherine Magbanua?
Yes.
Now, at this point in time, I want to emphasize this point in time, did your mom or your dad know anything about Tato being in prison, confirmation that Sigfredo Garcia was the extorter? Did they know anything about that?
Well, the undercover had told my mom that Tato was incarcerated, but aside from that, everything that I had found out at lunch the day before, or meeting with Katie after I saw my mom, I hadn't spoken to my mom about it, so she knew none of that.
Now, was your dad upset with you?
He wanted to know why didn't I come to him, and I said, Dad, I thought if I went to you, I didn't think I'd be able to stop you from going to the police. I don't think you would have realized the danger that I was in, and the family you would be putting the family in. So I didn't want to tell anybody. The only reason I told Mom was because when I ended up picking up the checks from her is when she found out.
He now knows, though, right? He knows as of the evening of April 20th when your mom tells him, but he knows as of Matsuri.
Yes.
Does he say to you, Charlie, I got to go to the police?
No, I think my mom scared him pretty good.
And when you spoke to him, was he behind you in not going to the police?
Yeah, I mean, he understood why I didn't go. I mean, he understood how serious it was. This was not a small threat.
Did you tell him outside the restaurant before you go in to eat that you were pretty sure it was the police?
Yeah, and I went through all the...
C. Malone's picked up on something. Daniel Rashbaum's tie knot proportion to the width of the tail of the tie. It's all wrong, okay? You either need a thinner tie or a bulkier knot. And from the size of his shirt collar, you don't want to wear a thin tie with that suit, with that shirt at least. Yeah, like don't tie your tie so tight, man. It's all fucking... God, the tie thing in this trial. Charlie and Rashbaum. Has anyone else got issues with their tie? Just amazes me that I have never worn a tie that wasn't perfect. Unless, it's like on purpose. When you just pull it down or something. But I mean, if you're going to put one on, do it well. What the fuck? I thought that was like everybody's rule, right?
Reasons that we've just spoken about, that it was, I was fairly certain it was the police.
Now, you end up getting seated at the restaurant, and where do they seat you?
They seat us at the sushi bar. So
Now, Matsuri, it's a pretty authentic Japanese sushi restaurant, right?
yeah, it's in a strip shopping center, but you go in there and like half the people are Japanese. It's very authentic.
What about the other half? Half of it's authentic. You know what I tend to avoid is sushi restaurants where the I was going to say cooks, but obviously sushi's raw. But the cooks, for want of a better word, are Chinese. That's a red flag to me. That tells me that they're just doing it because it's profit orientated.
At first, did you notice anyone sitting next to your dad?
No, we just sat at the bar. It was just the two of us.
Later, did you notice someone?
Yes, a gentleman comes over and sits down next to my dad.
Now, before we get into some of the details, did anything initially strike you as very weird about this person who was sitting next to your dad? What was the first thing that struck you as being kind of off?
He was very rude.
How was he rude?
Well, I mean, we're sitting there and we got our dinner plates at the sushi bar. They serve you your food. And so your dinner plate's there and your drinks are there. And he comes over and he plops this big bag down right next to my dad's dinner plate. And it's like, you don't put your belongings on the dinner table. And it just struck me. I looked at the guy. He put his belongings down and his keys, and it's like sitting next to my dad's plate. I'd never seen that done like that before.
And that was off to you, right?
Yeah, I just thought the guy was rude. He was off, yeah.
I want to take you back to before you saw the guy. You've seen the recording. Was there some discussion between you and your dad before the recording that the jury has?
Yes.
Okay. But the recording starts with you almost mid-sentence saying, "I can even tell you he's at Giants Stadium." Do you remember that?
I do.
What are you talking about there?
I'm saying that we're talking about it being the police, and I'm saying the police are just following a lead that's not true.
Now, are you actually using the word police?
No.
Okay. You then say it's not done. By the way, what's the reference to Giant Stadium?
Hey, good night, Michelle. Thanks so much for coming. And yeah, we're going to close it out soon, guys. It's 5:30 almost. I think we'll close it out at 5:30. 6 minutes to go. Thank you, Michelle. See you soon.
Supposedly some guy, Jimmy Hoffa, who got killed years ago, was buried in the end zone of Giant Stadium. So the police went and dug up.
Jimmy Hoffa, the Teamsters. I mean, again with these pop references to organized crime, etc. He just loves it. Tell us about Paul Castellano, Charlie, please. Oh no, we can listen to 4 hours of that after you get convicted.
The end zone, thinking that he was there because somebody said it, so they investigated it, but it was never true.
Now,
did you kill Jimmy Hoffa? Did Harvey Adelson kill Jimmy Hoffa?
you then say it's not done like that. What were you telling your dad was not done like that?
The extortion wasn't done like it was done to me. It's being done to my mom. That's not how it's done.
And you do this twice. But at 50 seconds into the recording, you say, and the funny thing is, and you whisper something in your dad's ear.
Mm-hmm.
I know you don't know the exact words, but what did you whisper into your dad's ear?
I was saying they don't realize I was extorted the first time, and this is the same thing that's getting done. Then the second time I say this is like, the funny thing is, this is like deja vu.
We're going to get to that.
Okay, sorry.
Then there is talk about why they didn't go to Wendy. And why did you think they didn't go to Wendy?
I think they didn't go to Wendy because the police already spoke to her.
And Harvey asks you if Katie agrees with you. Agrees with you about what?
That it's the police.
Throughout the video, you're seen repeatedly looking at the guy next to your dad.
Yes.
Why are you looking at him the second time? What piques your attention next?
Well, the waitress came over, and the first thing he said to her is, "What kind of salads do you have here?" And she even just looked at him. I mean, it's like, it's a sushi bar. You come here to eat sushi, and it's not a place where you come in and you're like, "What kind of salads you have here?" And then when I looked at him, he looked at me, and then he ordered his salad, and he ordered a California roll. So I was like, this guy really doesn't like sushi, and he's coming into a sushi restaurant at 9 o'clock at night by himself. He seems really odd.
Now,
Yeah, but sometimes, Charlie, it's just a guy that wants a salad and a California roll at 9 o'clock at night. Now, on this occasion, he was absolutely right. It was an undercover. But can you imagine, in the 6 years that followed that Matsuri meeting between Harvey and Charlie, in the 6 years, how many months is that? That's 72 months. 72 months of just walking around and seeing a man in his 40s alone, wearing a fisherman hat and sunglasses, carrying a bag that could have a listening device in it. Just the fucking paranoia that must have been everywhere for him. Checking your own trash can to check that there's not an agent in it. Did that trash can just move? I think I smell an agent. Yeah. What the fuck? What a... People often talk about whether there was relief for Donna or Charlie when they got arrested, and kind of didn't have to worry about it anymore. You know, it's done. And obviously, sitting in jail's no picnic either, but it whatever the situation, it must have been good to just know that everyone in a uniform is a cop. But I guess in even in jail, you know, we heard from Nicholas Atteridge, the guy that was in lockup with Sigfredo Garcia. And Sigfredo Garcia shared quite a bit of information with him, and he ended up telling General Isom all about it, details. So even then, you just don't know who you can talk to. You don't know. You still can't ultimately trust people, even when you're caught. Well, when you're awaiting trial, at least. But yeah. See, sometimes a guy just wants to go to a sushi restaurant on his own at 9 o'clock at night, have a salad and a California roll. It could happen. I might do it right now.
You then say again at some point, and the funny thing is, it's unintelligible after. Do you think you know what you said at that point?
I said, this is like deja vu.
You're then eating and you say to your dad, I think there's a recorder in the bag. And your dad asks whether they can do that, and you say they can with a warrant. Why did you think there was a recorder in the bag, and who did you think was sitting next to your dad?
I mean, the way the guy ordered his food, I mean, he clearly doesn't like sushi, and he's sitting in a sushi restaurant, and then he's sitting there with this bag on a table next to our dinner plate. He's either the rudest guy ever, or could be a police officer, or I could be just completely wrong, and he is just a rude guy.
And so what happens after, as Ms. Kappelman says, he was made? What happens after you realize that he is a police officer, or someone, you have suspicions that he's a police officer?
Yeah, we no longer talk about the extortion.
Why don't you talk about it? What would be the problem with the police knowing about the extortion, the first extortion?
It's the same reason I didn't go to the police the night of July 18th, is that I was worried about my life, my family's life, and I bounced back and forth between should I go, should I not go, and every time I went through the pros and cons, I mean, it wasn't going to bring Dan back. The people who did this don't care about killing someone in the middle of the day. I mean, there's not a question, especially sitting here and seeing Luis Rivera come in, and I know who Sigfredo Garcia is. I don't think these guys would have cared. I think they would have killed me.
Now, after dinner, you leave the restaurant and you go in the parking lot, right?
Yes.
And you thought you were going to just go to your cars. Your dad walks you to your car first, and what happens?
We're just talking, and he's asking me a few more questions, and then he asked me about who's Tato. Like, what's the story with him? Did Katie know who Tato is?
And at that point in time, for the first time, did you tell your dad what you had learned in the car with Katie the day before?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm not holding anything back from my parents, and I told my dad that, yeah, Dad, Tato's a real person, and he's the head of the Latin Kings of Miami, and he's the one who killed Dan.
When you tell your dad that, how does he react?
He's like, look, you think it's the police, why not, maybe you're right, maybe you're wrong, let's just go to the police now. Don't you think that's the safest thing to do? And I said, absolutely not. I mean, these people are connected, they know other people out there. I didn't go to the police originally. I don't want to do that. And he's like, well, I said, I think it's the police, so there's nobody's going to get hurt. And he's like, well, what if you're wrong?
And did this discussion go back and forth for a while?
Yeah, because I mean, what do you say when someone says, what if you're wrong? I mean, you're going to get killed.
What did you tell him you would continue to do?
I said, listen, I'm going to talk to Katie. Hopefully she'll come by and see me tomorrow, or I'll talk to her and see if she's reached out to these people and to see if it is legitimate extortion or if it's just the police.
Did you again go over with your dad all the reasons why you were sure it wasn't the police?
That it was the police.
I'm sorry, that it was the police.
Yeah.
It's just a mess, isn't it? Can you imagine? I think, every trial they get a little bit better with the cameras. This was the first trial where we got face-on cameras for the lawyers at the podium, right? Which was great. It was so good to see Georgia face on, especially when she's questioning Wendy, Charlie, other people. But I think what we're missing, and what I hope, I don't think they're realistically going to, but wouldn't it be great if during the entire 9-10 hours that Charlie Adelson is on direct examination, that we could see a camera at the prosecution table. Just the little side glances that Georgia and Sarah Dugan are giving to each other, like, what the fuck is this? They can't get that. They just must be... Oh, Georgia did such a good job today. I love how she just... These fucking defense... Zellman and Fulford for Donna, they keep bringing in these expert witnesses that are really shit, and then when it comes for Georgia to question them, she's like, no, I don't need to voir dire the witness. Why would I? You know, I'm not intimidated. They are shit, and I'm going to walk all over them. So why would I bother trying to, you know, just let them do their thing? I love her regular tactic like that. You know, we're getting carried away, aren't we? We're getting carried away again. Now we should end the stream. Is there a good place on the near horizon? I just don't think there is. Oh, hang on. How long is that away? All right, it's just 10 minutes or so.
At that point, I did. I rehashed everything again and went through everything that we discussed.
And at the end of leaving the restaurant, what did your dad agree to?
He agreed not to go to the police.
The next day, you speak with your mom, correct? This is April 22nd.
Yes, I do.
This is defense exhibit. I'm sorry, Your Honor. I'm a little confused. Hold on a second. This call is not in evidence. On this call, just to refresh your memory so that we don't have to play it, well, let me first offer it into evidence. Judge, it's labeled Defense Exhibit 100. It's a call between Donna Adelson and Charlie Adelson on April 22nd. It's State Call 1695. We would move it into evidence.
Any objection from the state?
Hearsay, Your Honor.
Members of the jury, the bailiff is going to escort you to the jury room. I'm going to listen to the call.
That's the perfect place to end it, isn't it? And we're right on time, too. Look at him. God, my God, guys, it's going to be... You know, we've still got a way to go, realistically. I think maybe we should... I don't know. It's just so... I think, you know, I've been working on these
Everyone
edits.
can be seated. You can play the call, please.
Would you like me to play the full?
Right. No. We're ending it. Actually, that's quite a good screenshot for tomorrow's thumbnail. I like that. Let's grab that while we're here. Yeah, I need to start releasing things in the day, like some on-demand content, because there's so much to do, aside from fucking Adelson's. I know everyone loves it, but I really want to get onto other things. And we've got quite a way to go with this damn case. Anyway, for tonight, we're done. We're going to bed. And... yeah, thanks to everybody for being here. Thanks for everyone for chatting. and the super chat, and especially the biggest chatter in the house, Victoria Girl. Thank you so much for those super chats, those super gargantuan chats. Fuck me, thank you so much. We're coming to Germany. Hey, Derek. Well, you don't need to do anything. You're already there. Well, actually, you're in the Czech Republic. So get on that bus, man, or in your car rental. And we'll see you in Cologne next Thursday, right? Yeah. Okay. So, thank you to everybody as well also. And the moderators, the fantastic Bulletproof Metrix moderators, the coffee supporters, the Patreon members, the exclusive members, the ultimate members, and everybody else. Even the people we never talk to. We love you too. And we'll be back tomorrow, probably in the day as well. I mean, we've got a bunch of stuff to do, so let's get on with it. For now, everybody, thank you. Good night.